Hey, I'm your host, Anthony Tank Mansfield. And with me today is...
Jaimie Filer.
And...
Dan Simonson, but everybody calls me Simo.
And this is What You Into.
What you into? What you into?
Listener, you're entering the bro zone. It's very fucking
Right.
bro podcast coming at you. If you're like, get ready for it to come. Like, your IQ is definitely going to drop over the course of this episode. I'm going to say hell yeah a lot, guys. Just
Yeah.
Sounds well.
Just
You're wearing
so-
the Stone Cold shirt.
Just breathing
yeah,
in
brother.
testosterone everywhere. It's just...
You know it. You know that
breathing
beautiful
it.
voice, listener. The most, the reigning, defending, most times on the show guest of all time, Jaimie Filer's back on the show.
I've been on here. Am I really the one that's been on here the most?
You got to be.
That's awesome.
I mean, you got to be.
cool.
I don't. I mean,
I'm gonna make like a homemade trophy for it. Keep it at the house.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, keep it like a fucking Stanley Cup.
What you into?
You could show it to the other guests that have been on multiple times. Like, you're never gonna get this.
Yeah, it's like the Ric Flair thing. I woo at him.
Yeah, just woo at him.
I like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty sweet.
And please,
Maybe, I think you need to make the trophy for him.
I need like a pink bathrobe.
Saying.
I
I know a trophy guy if you need one.
you got a trophy guy.
I do have a trophy guy. That's
Got a
actually
trophy
very
guy.
true. I have
That's a
trophy guy.
very bro thing right there. I got a
Yes.
trophy guy.
I got
He's also a t-shirt guy, a koozie guy. He does all the stuff. But yeah, I can definitely get you a trophy if you need a trophy.
And listener, that returning voice coming back for the second time is Simo. Simo, how you doing, buddy?
Great. Good to be back in the basement. Excited.
Excited to have you back.
Yeah.
Your episode is one that people reference a lot when people talk about collections. So I'm excited to have you back on the show because last time you got a bunch of positive feedback and the people want to hear what you got to say.
Good to hear. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Well, look, guys, you know what? Let's skip over intro tonight since you guys know how the show works. Let's get into the main topic. So tonight's topic is being heavily tattooed. So this is something that I just recently learned I was. I didn't know I was before because I just recently got like the last part of my leg that was kind of open that you can see when I'm wearing shorts. So now like when I'm out, like full sleeves and from my knees down to my feet, including my feet, are tattooed. So when I'm wearing shorts, I'm just like, oh, I just kind of look like like there's not a lot of open skin other than like my hands and my neck and my face. Like it's all pretty covered. And then my wife's like, you've been heavily tattooed. And I'm like, well, no, this is the first time I just really noticed it. And I don't know if this is like a body dysmorphia thing where like what you see isn't what other people see or what, but it would just kind of hit me. And so then I was like, all right, I want to talk to some other people that I know have a bunch of tattoos and people that are collecting, you know, and keep collecting towards what could end up becoming a body. So I'm not, you know, I don't know if that's the final goal for you guys, but there's definitely like, it's in the realm of possible you might fuck around and end up with one. So that was the whole reason to have you guys on the show.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I think I had a similar thing within the last couple of years, kind of the realization that, yeah, I guess I am heavily tattooed at this point. I never wanted to like be that self-proclaimed, like I have a ton of tattoos person. But, yeah, my wife really doesn't, she doesn't have any, she has a couple, but yeah, same thing. I kind of, think when I was getting my back done, tattooer finally kind of told me, he's like, yeah, you're heavily tattooed. And so if a tattooer told me that, then I guess I believed it. But until then, yeah, I kind of had the same, like I never really just, till I'm covered, I don't feel like I'm that heavily tattooed. And we're getting closer to that.
Yeah. Jaimie, what about you? Did you have a moment where you were like, I got a lot of these things? Or how do you feel about it?
I always forget that I have them. You know,
That's
that
a
day
good-
it's just your skin after a while. It was very short ago at my day job. This 21-year-old kid started working with me. And as a 21-year-old kid who wants to get himself tattooed and everything else, was like randomly talk to me. And he's like, you know, and he just goes on and on about tattoos. And I'm like, dude, just shut the fuck up. Like, I don't, you know, we got to get back to work. I don't care. And then it dawned on me. I'm like, well, you look like you. And that's why he's talking to you about this. Like, you just forget how outside society probably does view you in that state until every once in a while, you know, it's like, oh yeah, I got a bunch of shit on me.
And I think that's a good way to put that too, because like I hang out with you on a pretty regular basis,
Yeah.
and I hang out with other people that have a lot of tattoos. And so I don't really notice it until like I'm in a situation where I'm like, oh fuck, I'm the only person in the room that has like exposed sleeves. And that's changed a little bit as time has gone on. Now when I go to like conferences and stuff for my work, like there will be like one or two other people that has like a forearm piece or something, but still there's not a lot of people that are like heavily tattooed like out in the world, and which it kind of fucks with me because I'm on Instagram all the time, and there's a lot of heavily tattooed people out here. Where are they all working at?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think breweries, right?
Maybe.
Which nothing against that, but
Yeah.
I actually chat with one of the dudes at my local brewery about tattoos all the time. That's what we talk about, beer and tattoos. But
Nice.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, I kind of agree. Yeah, it's just see a lot of people with a lot of tattoos, but I literally on the opposite side of what you're talking about, nobody that's in my like kind of closer circle has even one tattoo. It's the weirdest thing ever. Yeah. All of my really close friends, I've thought about this a bunch of times before, and it's like even if I went to like the group of 10 people that I'm probably with the most, not a single one between them. It's the weirdest. It's kind of, I don't know, almost cool, I guess, at this point that they've all avoided getting tattooed this long. And then I'm like, well, if you don't, that's my other thing. If you don't have any by now, then just don't get any because you're probably cooler because now everybody's getting tattooed, right?
Amen.
So
that's the new punk rock. The new punk
Right,
rock
like if
is
you're
not
not
having it.
tattooed. Yeah.
I like how you treat it like cocaine. You're like, if you haven't done it, just don't do it.
Right, exactly.
You're too old for it now.
Yes, 100%.
And yeah, Jamie, I'm with you. It is like the new punk rock thing to like not have anything or any kind of alteration just because so many people have stuff now.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It's that what is it? SLC Punk. There's like the one kid who just is the most normal,
The
dude,
dorky looking
who
dude?
just beats the shit out of everybody.
Yeah.
And, and it's like, yeah, that's the new punk rock. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is like the most normal people you can find. I think, yeah, it's an interesting shift in society and culture. I think where like we're starting to see traditional jobs where like tattoos and body modification wasn't welcome. Like it's now popping up in like offices and hospitals, and you even start to see it in like I know that for a while it was like taboo with like police and stuff. They have stuff now. And
Yeah.
the military has had to adjust tattoo regulations for various things. So it's just kind of interesting to see like how this is integrated in society, but yet there is still like a level of tabooness to it on some level because because again, there are people that don't have stuff, and then there are still older people in positions that don't want the world to change that they came up in. Have you guys ever experienced like any kind of like not backlash, but like discrimination or like any kind of like weirdness because of your tattoos?
I can honestly say no, really. That's one of the funny things too. Like I've never really had anybody say anything negative. Maybe somebody doesn't like them, but they just never said anything to me about it. I always joke. It's funny now. I can tell that tattoos aren't that uncommon anymore because I have a bunch of tattoos, right? I wear a lot of black t-shirts. Look like I got a beard. I look like a dude that if you didn't know me, maybe I'd look a little standoffish or whatever at like the grocery store. But if I have my daughters with me, I joke that like every old woman on the planet will come up to me to talk to my daughters. So they have no issue approaching me. So like 80-year-old little ladies with white hair have no problem approaching me now and being like, are those your kids? Like whatever. And I'm like, I wonder if 20 years ago that would have been different, like since I'm heavily tattooed, right? And so I think I've never really had any issue with it at all, to be honest with you, which has been nice. And I work in education too, honestly. I work in schools and I keep them covered for the most part. But when they do come out, like any principal I've ever worked for or anything, they're always like, yeah, we don't care as long as, you do your job well and you're not a jerk and you don't, act like an idiot with kids or families or whatever, just do your job and take care of business. But I've been pretty fortunate in that realm that, yeah, the tattoos have not really ever affected anything too negatively. But I think when I started getting them, I think my mom, again, that old school, right, like mentality of like, if you get something that's visible, you'll never get a job.
Right.
Right. And so I think that is nice that that's not necessarily the truth anymore. But yeah, I've just, to answer the question again, it's never been a huge issue for me, but I guess maybe I'm lucky there.
Jamie, how about you? Have you ever run into any bullshit where like somebody like gave you some shit over some stuff?
Well, to be honest with you, I was like 12 or 13 and I wanted my ear pierced, and my mom sat me down and said, and this is in the 90s, and she was like, when you do this, people are going to judge you a certain way, and it's not who you are. Even just an ear piercing at that time, she's like, they're going to think certain things about you, and you're going to have to be able to take that. She's like, I don't care what you do. I mean, I had mohawks as a teenager and piercings and everything else, but it was like, had to accept the fact that people are sometimes going to judge you before they even have a clue who the fuck you are. And I was fine with that, but at the same time, I learned quickly how to diffuse people. And I do register, like, I've had conversation. I have one of my closest friends is a little bit older black man from New York, my buddy Q, great one of dearest dudes ever. But him and I have had conversations, and he was very open one time and said, when I first met you, I totally thought you were a skinhead. And I was like, of course you did. I look like this. And I was like, but I also know when I meet people, that's probably what they're thinking, and I need to quickly diffuse that because I'm not that, and I just had to learn how to talk. And I'm kind of the same thing, dude. Like, little 80-year-old women love me to death. Like, little old ladies love to bullshit because it probably is that weird, like, you're the scary guy, but you're a sweetheart, so I can sit here and talk to you all day long. And, yeah, you just learn how to diffuse it. Either that or, you're constantly going to have to be in a negative feeling because people are going to judge you like for that. You know?
Right. Well, I think too, like anytime I've ever had people just randomly approach me to ask about them, like people that aren't tattooed, happens when I go on vacation. We were just in Florida with my kids and my wife, and we were some friends that we travel with sometimes. And some dude came up to me at the pool and was just like, "Hey man, I was looking at my tattoos," and my friend was like, "How often does that happen to you?" And I was like, "It really doesn't happen a ton, but at the pool, at the beach, like when you're shirtless and everything's out and everyone's seeing all of them." And like you were saying, there's two ways to deal with that. You can either be like, "Hey, yeah, I have these because I think they're cool and I want to talk about them and I like them, and I also want people to not think that people that are tattooed are assholes."
Yeah.
Or you can be a dick about it.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
one of the two. And so why would I want to be an asshole?
Yeah,
about
I
it?
don't
If
wanna-
like this, and and plus then it gives people the realization of being like, "Hey, I met this crazy heavily tattooed guy,
Yeah.
and he was super nice and really cool, and was
Well, that's the
not
thing.
the stereotype that I thought he was going to be."
Exactly. It's like I don't want to live up to the stereotype in their head. I'd rather disappoint them. If that's really what they're going to push on me, I'd rather disappoint them and just be a sweetheart. You know,
Right.
I'd try my hardest to be. You know.
Yeah, I've had some experiences with stuff like randomly, like one time at Trader Joe's, like an old lady was like, "Do you think you have enough of them?" And I'm like, "No, I'm getting
No.
more." You know, that was pretty easy. Just to, yeah. I think the weird stuff I've had happen to me is people touching me unsolicited, which that's always
That does
weird.
happen.
Where like people will grab your arm, or you're in, it's like you're walking by and they just grab an arm, or bars that's also weird. And a lot of times at bars it's women, and then it's like, "Hey, this is my wife," like, and you're some random broad that just grabbed my fucking arm. Like, this is really awkward and weird. I had a lady try to put her finger through my my stretched ear one time at a bar.
That's just gross. Like,
Yes.
why would you do that?
Well, it was funny because then I grabbed her left ear and just held it,
Well played.
and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "What are you doing?" And she was like,
What you were doing is less
yeah,
weird, if we're
yeah,
being honest.
and I'm like, apparently we can just touch each other now, so here we go. And then she was like, you can't do that. I'm like, you violated me first, so let's be honest about
played,
this.
yeah.
And she was like, and then walked off. So yeah, I think that's the weirdest thing I deal with is like random touching. Sometimes that can be weird, and then sometimes I do run into like super weird fucking normie guy that like doesn't understand why I have tattoos, and that's happened before. And then that's a real weird thing, especially like if there's somebody who I have to be around on a regular basis, because then it's like, okay, like you were very judgmental of me because I'm not living your life experience and you can't put yourself in mine, but like already you're like asking me weird questions about stuff that dude, I'm not your fucking like Google. Like, go Google shit. Like, don't come in. Like, well, why'd you get this? Well, what's that about? Well, is this? And it's just like, dude, no, I don't got time for this. I don't come up to you and ask you why you don't have any tattoos and you constantly wear polo shirts. Like, come on.
Right.
Maybe that's the trick is if you start to really question the polo shirt, then you're like, so do you do 3-button, 2-button?
How many do you actually button? How many
do you wear them
down?
up? I mean, is there like a different way? Could you wear one backwards? You just start over like frying their brain with questions where they walk away.
Are you an alligator guy, or are you like a
alligators,
traditional
or- yeah.
polo guy? Like, what are
Is there
you?
other designs other than
what are you
alligators?
with the collared shirt?
Yeah.
Which I recently went to the fucking outlet mall, and I was looking for a shirt for our 10th anniversary dinner, and so like I popped into polo and I popped into, is it Lacoste or
I think it's Lacoste.
Lacoste?
Yeah, that's the alligator.
That's the alligator,
Yeah.
dude. Like $110 each for a polo, and I'm
Are you
like,
fucking
really?
kidding?
I'm like, what?
And that's at the outlet.
I'm like,
That's how much a polo costs?
yeah, and
I
I'm
haven't
just
worn
like,
one in a long time.
I know. I'm like,
I'd pay
no.
110 for an alligator, but not a polo.
Yeah, not a polo.
I mean, alligator would be cool.
That'd be
yeah,
cool.
that's
Yeah,
one other story, but yeah,
that's a
that'd be a
solid,
great deal.
That's
My
a
dad
solid,
owned an alligator as a child, but that explains a lot. So
that tracks.
yeah,
That tracks.
Kentucky, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the Florida of the Midwest.
I was about to say, yeah. It's
true.
He's not from. Yeah, I was going to ask. If he
Lived in
was
his
from Florida.
basement. It was weird.
You know.
People used to do that back in the day. My mom
Yeah.
worked at the Ridges over in Athens. The Ridges,
yeah,
the
I know
Ridges
about
is
the
an
Ridges.
insane asylum,
Like one of the
Or,
most haunted
sorry.
places, and
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So she had to work in a sanitarium for to get her RN for a few months, and back in the day they had a pet alligator there that they would keep in the basement in the winter, and then in the summer they would just like let it chill beside the
Like a
fountain.
horrible idea.
I know, right? It's like you got all these people with like mental problems, and
Yeah.
you're getting fucking lobotomies and shit, and like you're letting them near an
Not
alligator.
healthy.
Yeah, how-
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's one of the deal, but there is that thing where like you can train alligators to some extent. Where like as long as they're fed and you're being chill with them, and
Sure.
you don't get within range.
It just
Yeah.
seems like an unnecessary risk.
It
Yeah.
does seem like a risk.
I will say, I've
or you
worked on a
just-
psych floor before. I have
Yeah.
experience in that world. And the last thing we needed on that place
Is
is
an
an
alligator?
alligator. That's
Yeah.
literally probably on the list of last things needed is alligator.
Hey guys, I had some bad ideas. What do you guys think about an alligator? We just randomly start laying handguns around.
Where do you
you
even
know?
get an alligator in Athens?
Yeah,
Like, yeah, come on.
yeah. You know, just we'll see what happens. Oh shit. Well, okay. So how about this? So we've talked about me and Jaimie's origin stories before, as far as getting tattooed. How about you? Like, when did you get into this and how?
Sorry, just taking a drink as
That's
soon
okay.
as you were
You're
asking. Sure. So I always tell people, so I think as long as I can remember, like one of those dudes, right? Like not making this up. Like I can remember being about probably 4 or 5. And my grandpa, who died in 2005, he was in the Navy and joined in the mid-40s, and he got tattooed once. He had one tattoo. It was on his left arm, like shoulder to elbow, and it was the Sailor Jerry Homeward Bound Clipper ship.
Oh yeah.
And as I got older and learned more about tattooing after he died, I think I'm not saying he got tattooed by Jerry, but he got tattooed in Hawaii in the mid 40s, and it's a Jerry design. So it like had to be a shop, maybe. Like I don't know, but I mean that stuff wasn't mass produced at the time. The Flash was all original to the shops and stuff. So he had this big clipper ship on his arm, and I can remember sitting in his kitchen, and he had a rocking chair, and I would sit next to it, and I would just look at that tattoo, and I'd ask him all about it. Like, where did you get it? How did they do it? How did they get it on there? Like, what else could you have gotten? All the different designs they had, all that kind of stuff. And then that was kind of the first time, and I just remember being like, I want one of those. Like, I want that. Like, I want tattoos. Like, I didn't know that I wanted to get probably as heavily tattooed, because again, it's the early 90s. You didn't see a lot of heavily tattooed people yet, right? I mean, you would see them around, but not like sleeves or back. You know, you weren't seeing huge tattoos.
Yeah, the early '90s was an interesting period because like there was like some tattoos you would see from like the punk and hardcore scene where like Rollins was out there in Black Flag, and I mean at the time he was heavily tattooed because he had like, you know, some like various like smaller pieces on his arm that sort of made a sleeve, kind of sort of, and then like his big Search and Destroy back tattoo, and then like the dudes from Agnostic Front were you know, like they had a lot of stuff and like Cro-Mags, but really that was kind of it as far as like from that world. There wasn't like a lot of dudes in like mainstream heavy metal that had tattoos at the time. Like even like somebody now like Tommy Lee didn't really have a bunch. He had like the Mighty Mouse drummer tattoo, and that was kind of it. And like Ozzy had his knuckles and like that piece on his chest.
He has.
But it wasn't like a lot of people. And then in the early 90s, you then started like seeing tribal kind of come in. And that was like a thing. And that's where you started to see kind of bigger pieces because people were like taking tribal and stretching it over like a shoulder to elbow or something like that.
And so, and I would say I started to get to see more tattoos, like I said, like you were saying, when I got into things, when I got a little older, I got into things like skateboarding and punk rock, right? Like those two things. You know, you see a lot of tattooed people, plus just with skateboarding, a lot of designs on the skateboards, all that kind of stuff, just the visual of it in general. But I wrestled. I grew up wrestling. And when I was a kid, I used to go watch the high school team wrestle for where I grew up at. And a lot of those dudes, when they were in high school, in the mid-90s, there was like a big tattoo boom, right? A lot of people were getting tattooed, like walk-in flash designs. A lot of, I knew a dude that had that Mighty Mouse tattoo, a dude that was my brother's age that wrestled. It would have been about 10 years older than me. He had that Mighty Mouse on his leg. A lot of like Tasmanian Devils. Like, I knew a dude that had it's the cover of that Zeppelin, I think, where there's like an angel or something going
Oh,
like
the
Zeppelin.
the
Like that kind of stuff.
Zoso,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
flying angel.
But I would go to the wrestling
kickback
meets
things.
for like the varsity team, and I'd see these dudes were tattooed, and that just looked real cool to me. And I kind of like that was maybe the first introduction to seeing other people. My brother then got a tattoo. My oldest brother's like 10 years older than me. He got tattooed when he turned 18. He just got like it's literally like the most 90s tattoo. It was like a wolf head, like a wolf
Hell yeah,
howling,
dude.
which he then covered
Sick.
up later on. But you know, it was actually not a bad tattoo.
Say bummer, man.
Yeah, right. Like in retrospect, it's probably cool. That was probably cooler than what he ended up getting it covered with, but that's a whole other story. And then, by the time I hit high school, kind of was like, I want to get these. And I got my first one when I was a junior in high school. My mom actually signed for me to get tattooed at a shop over on the west side called Cincinnati Tattoo. It's still around, but this is the original Cincinnati
Excellent.
Tattoo, which was real close to, I went to Elder. It was right across the street, like from Elder's back parking lot. They moved up the street a little bit, but she made a deal with me when I was a sophomore in high school. I actually did pretty well in school. And if you got good enough grades for the whole year, you could get out of all your exams, all your finals. So the deal was like, if you get out all of your finals for the whole year, which is pretty tough to do, you had to carry an A average in every class for the entire year. And I don't think she thought I could do it, maybe. And I ended up pulling it off. And so she did. She lived up to her word, though. And I eventually got, like, it was about 6 months later, but I was like, when are we going to get this tattoo? And she was like, well, let's go right now. And sure as shit. So we went up and I picked the shamrock. It's still right here. It's a new school shamrock with a crown and the little nautical star and everything, and says "Luck of the Irish" on it. And
Hell
so,
yeah.
So that was 17 when I got that one, and then from there, just kind of started adding a little bit here and there. Like, once a year I'd probably get one. I didn't have a lot of money yet, or not enough to get big stuff, but just always knew I kind of wanted to get covered and wanted to get sleeves, but just wasn't real sure about how to pursue all that yet. But then started getting tattooed a bit more in college, and then to where we are now. But that's kind of how it started.
And that I think, Jaimie, you and I kind of had some experience as well in our early 20s, where it was like you could get stuff, but it was like
little on the wall.
Yeah, it was just like small stuff and just kind of, or say we get like one big one a year or something like that.
Which in theory probably saved us, because if I had the money, I would have the absolute dumbest shit on me and be regarding it as a much older man.
First thing that I did that was going to be kind of like a big tattoo for me was, so I had like this one that I was talking about. Then I got a couple more on my right arm, which are still there, but they're old and they're kind of, I'm probably going to end up covering them. They're not the best tattoos. They were done by a dude in my neighborhood, actually started tattooing. A guy that I grew up around. He's older than me, but he started tattooing, and he did a few on me, and he did my chest. And it was right before I moved to Columbus. It was the day before I moved to go to Ohio State. And we were going to do a full chest, and he started it with like this it was a very like...
one day full chest.
One day full chest.
Right, so, but that was going to be like we were doing the centerpiece first, and then we were going to add to it down the road.
Oh, okay.
So we did the center, and it was like, I don't even know. It was supposed to be like a Sacred Heart, and it kind of was, but it kind of, it was like 2004-ish. So it was like this blue, weird Sacred Heart with like kind of real new school thorns and like wings and stuff, and like a flame that doesn't exist anymore because it was done with that old Starbright ink that all disappeared. But again, did that and then ended up covering that up a couple years ago because it was like, okay, yeah. So I'm glad, like you were saying, if I would have gotten that whole thing done with whatever we were talking about, it would have been a way tougher cover up and a way probably worse tattoos. So yeah, I think same thing. I think it kind of was good that I was kind of broke when I was younger and I couldn't get these really big tattoos yet because I probably would have got some dumb shit.
Yeah. You didn't have to get your entire chest blacked out.
I almost I have a giant black panther. The one on my chest is it's just a panther head. It's a huge black panther head. So yeah, it's kind of almost blacked out, but yes. So yeah. And I wouldn't recommend getting your chest tattooed more than you need to get your chest tattooed. So getting it and then covering it up, that's just stupid. So yeah, just try to get it once for any of you out there.
The old twofer.
Yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun at all.
How were you guys deciding back in the day when you first started getting stuff, where to go with color, black and gray?
Well, I was an idiot, and I don't even know who told me. It probably wasn't anyone that even had a tattoo, but they were like, that if you get color on you, it'll just fade away through time. So there's no real reason for that. So immediately I was like, well, I'm going to get black and gray type of artwork, especially. So that's why my arms are very graphic, actually, which I'm fine with, totally like that. But it's at the same time, never once dawned on me that, like, especially because I am the most pasty ass white dude ever. Like, I glow in the dark and my skin's perfect for color, and just never once put a piece of it in me. And then much later, when I actually talked to tattooers that, were smart enough to be like, this kid's an idiot. Hey, dude, you can put color in you. Then
they're like, we're not just, it's not just leaving. Like,
yeah. Well, that's the thing too. Because of course, like this person talking, I'm sure like I never dawned on me, like, there's not even perception of time that they're stating. Like, it's not like when you're 70 and the yellow is gone in your arm. Well, you're 70. Who gives a shit? Like, it's like,
yeah,
I've got much bigger problems,
To their credit, I am missing a gigantic chunk of flame right through here that's now all like back to skin tone white.
So you see that right there? That used to have like yellow and orange all around.
Oh, yeah.
But that doesn't have any lines on it either. There's no hard lines in it. So that disappeared quick. That's probably the only one that's like that. That's really that bad faded out. But yeah.
Yeah, I get a few that have faded on me over time.
But I think that too was like you were talking about before, like in the early to mid 2000s, there was like that. I think Chris Sanders told me that when I was getting tattooed down at Nightshade, thank you. Because I was showing him that, and that's what he told me. He was like, "Yeah, that was that Starbright ink back then, man.
Yeah,
that
just crummy inks,
it was bright when they put it in there, man. It glowed, and then it was gone. Like 10 years later, it was like gone, like not just kind of gone, like it disappeared. But you live and you learn, and I think the inks get better too, and they figure it out, and yeah. But for me, I think all my stuff's color. It always has been. I think that when I started getting tattooed, like I said, it was 2002. Was my first one, and so by then, I didn't know anybody else that was tattooed really. So I was going to tattoo shops and talking to tattooers, and I always just liked what color tattoos looked like. I liked like new school tattoos, and those were a thing in the late '90s and early 2000s. That was what I was really attracted to, was that style of tattooing, and those are all real bright, like almost like graffiti style, like colorful. And so that was kind of always what I like. I actually, when I moved to Columbus and I started looking to get tattooed, I found Stained Skin's website and I found Derb's, and your sleeve was one on his portfolio. And I used to look at those tattoos all the time, like not just that one, but all his stuff is just so colorful and like bright. And I mean, I know that tattoo's probably 15 years old now, and that thing is still glowing. I mean,
Yeah,
it's perfect.
My koi that I got by him is like it was a half sleeve we did, almost a half sleeve we did in one day. Like we tucked another smaller tattoo underneath there, my mom, and yeah, like it's still holding to this day and not going anywhere. And definitely that like late '90s, early 2000s aesthetic of like the whole new school tattoo thing, and everything was like super bright and popping,
And that's what I like that. Like
Yeah.
I wanted it to be colorful and like probably more then. I'm glad I didn't get a lot of really, really bright stuff then, because I think as I've gotten older, I still like the color stuff, but probably more traditional, like Japanese style, like that kind of, but not necessarily glowing orange and, you know, yellows and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, I'm also glad that I didn't get every piece of wall flash back then, because there was like some just in retrospect wild cringy stuff of like, you know, like girls in Jinko jean pinups and shit,
Yes.
where it's just like, is this I guess like, you know,
I'm gonna
like,
love this when I'm 50.
yeah, this
Yes,
is gonna
exactly.
be awesome, you know.
Right.
But Jinkos are going to be coming back.
They 100% are already back.
They're
Yeah,
back.
by
Yeah,
the
they're
way.
back.
So
They're back
it's
right
just
now.
like
They're definitely
everybody
back.
like that is the coolest tattoo ever.
Yeah, it's like, wow, you really predicted the future.
Like, did
It's
you just
like-
get that?
Yeah, it's like, no, I live the past.
Exactly.
So, okay, so when you guys started like getting stuff, did you go in with the thought process of I'm getting little stuff now, but I'm going to get it in the same region so that like these little things morph into a half sleeve, or were you like, or were you like, did you take a plunge on getting a big piece early? Like, kind of talk me through that.
Yeah, for myself, I mean, I think it was just more like I don't have any money and I'm broke. So it's like, again, it was like getting a little piece here, and then I would just randomly come up with something else that I wanted to get. I don't think I thought anything about the longevity of like having a bodysuit or anything like that till much later when I was older. And then I started, like you said, like one day you look in the mirror and you're like, well, half my forearm's done and the top of my arm is pretty well done. I should just fill the rest of this shit in and call it a day on this arm. And then, you know, next thing I know, I got another arm filled, and then chest and so on. You know, I never once had like a big picture plan until much later in life. You know, I think I was probably in my early mid 30s before I was just like, yeah, let's just go ahead and like do this shit, like, you know, make all of it tattooed. So.
Yeah, I think I always knew at the minimum, like I wanted to have sleeves. Like that was enough of an idea. Again, I didn't know. And back then, again, nobody was going and getting like you do now. Like you'll see somebody that doesn't have a single tattoo, and then, and not mad about this, but like 6 months later, they've got a shoulder
Yes.
to wrist, like
Yeah.
beautiful sleeve. And it's like one idea and it's real
Yeah.
fluid and it looks great. It really is. It's really cool. But that really wasn't happening back
No.
when I was getting tattooed. When I was younger, and even if it was, I didn't have the money to do that
yeah.
for sure. And so when I
Yeah.
could get tattooed, it was like my first one, I put it like right here, like on your shoulder, like classic spot where you can just put and then work
Yeah.
around that, right? And then the next one went here, the opposite shoulder to like even it out. Then was kind of about the symmetry of it too. Like if I have one over here, I have to have one over here. And then I did the inside of my bicep to kind of do kind of a half sleeve, you know, and then the same thing over on this arm, and then just kept kind of adding them. But I never really went below the elbows. Again, going back to what we talked about earlier, because I still was kind of young and I was in college, but I was like, what am I going to do when I get older? And again, still back then, it was not as unacceptable, but it was still kind of a thing where, you know, you couldn't assume that you could just go get a regular job with like a full sleeve or anything like that. So I kept stuff kind of above the t-shirt line for a long time. And then kind of finally, once I was getting this stuff, I started getting bigger stuff that basically would eventually turn into a sleeve. But not like, you know, both of my arms, I think, have been tattooed by at least 3 or 4 different people, so nothing that's like one person's done all of it. But yeah, it was always kind of the idea. And then as I got older too, realizing like, well, now I can just get real big stuff, and always wanted to do that, but never really thought I would actually do it. So that's kind of nice now. So now we've done full back, chest, like I was talking about, went from having just part of it to that's pretty much done now. And then we just did a huge rib panel, so my whole torso is getting close to being covered, which again, I always wanted, but never really thought I'd actually get that far with it. So and I just was telling you guys, I just had a consult last week to do the other side of my ribs. So, I mean, this time, hopefully by like December-ish, I'll have that side done, and then we'll just have a little bit left on my stomach, and my whole torso will be pretty much there. So I think it was always an idea, but I'm glad I waited as long as now I can knock out big pieces in these areas and not have to kind of work around a lot of stuff. One, I have to work around here, but it shouldn't be too big of a deal. We're not going to cover it though either, but yeah, so I think it was always enough of an idea that I wanted to be covered, but just wasn't really sure if I'd ever actually be able to pull it off. Still haven't pulled it off all the way, but you know, we're definitely And then with my legs are a little different. That's kind of where I used to like collect stuff and still want to cover them, but it's a bit more of like just like when I'm traveling or if I have a little space, like put something here, put something there. Yeah.
So you and I are on a very similar vibe on this entire thing. Where like I did the same thing you did. Where like I started out, I got my left bicep tattooed, and then it was like, okay, well then I should get my right bicep tattooed. And then at the time, I started to see like. I was like, well, I should get something besides my arms. And then I got the middle of my chest tattoo with like a Lady Luck tattoo. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to the arms. I did the exact same thing where I was like, okay, I'm going to get all these pieces that doesn't go below my elbows. And then I just like had like 2 half sleeves in my chest. And then I started getting some stuff like tattooed on my legs from like, I had an apprentice friend that wanted to do something. I'm like, well, do it on my leg. The way I can cover it up if I don't want to show it or whatever. And he did some stuff down there. And so then after that it was kind of like, it's like, well, okay, like I'm just gonna get a fucking sleeve. Like at this point, I just like this is just kind of happening, and you know what? If the worst thing in life is I have to wear dress shirts in the summer, then fuck it, whatever. And I just went with it. And then and kind of going back to the thing we talked about earlier about like the idea of like a full sleeve. Like yeah, my right arm is done by Dur, but it's like this, you know, like the forearm was one idea, like this entire like lower. Like 50s space pinup movie kind of thing with the guys from MST3K at the bottom. But my upper arm with like my Time Heals heart, my mom tattoo, and my koi were just all 3 separate pieces that came together. And what bonds them together is the background. And so it is interesting now for me to like look at something and be like, okay, I was putting together big pieces, but I haven't done what some people are doing now. We talked about, but like coming in complete blank arm, being like, I got this concept for the entire thing and knocking it out all at once.
Yeah. Which is cool. Sometimes I wish. I mean, I like all my tattoos, but sometimes I'm like, it'd be real cool to have like elbow to forearm like completely open, where I could just do. But I kind of did that. My arm, that was like, yeah, but just have like the whole space. Yeah. Sometimes I'm jealous. My neighbor actually, he's just started kind of getting tattooed, and I think he's a little older than me. He's like 40, and he's got a couple now. But I'm just like, yeah, dude. I was like, you're in the best position ever. I was like, you could just get whatever you want. Everything's open. Like, yeah. The world is your oyster. Go for it, buddy. Do whatever you want.
Yeah, and some of those sleeves now are very cool, where it's just the entire arm is just like one idea, and it's so cool to see like how to lay that out and to have that, and I love seeing that with even like legs. Like my friend Jess has a gigantic like octopus on her leg, and it's so cool because it's drawn like an illustration book version of an octopus, where it's like hatch lines and shit, and it's all like heavy black and like various lime weights to it, and so it looks like it was just but it totally wraps around her leg because of all the tentacles and stuff, you know. So it's going from like her foot all the way up to her thigh, and I'm like, that's incredible. Like it just looks so cool to have like a huge piece like that.
Yeah.
You know, where you had the time, you thought it out, you had the money, and you got something really cool that fits your body.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Like how often are you guys getting tattooed? Like, is it a thing where like you try to get hit up like at least yearly? Is it a thing where you're like every 2 months? Like when did you start approaching like getting mass amount of coverage? Because we kind of talked about the early part, like the beginning days where you didn't really have the money. When did it start to kind of get bigger?
I think right for me. So I was getting tattooed probably at least once a year. Like I said, probably starting when I was like 17. Like if I had a little bit of money, I go get tattooed, you know, around my birthday, right? That's kind of what a lot of people do, right? Like that's your birthday thing you're going to do for yourself, or tax season, right? Tattooers love
tax season.
Yeah. You get some money back from your taxes or whatever. So you go get a tattoo. And then I had a decent amount, I guess, by like 2018, 19 ish. And then August of 19, I remember I went to Chicago with some buddies and went to go to a show. And while we were there, I was like, sure, I'm just going to get tattooed. And that was kind of when I was like, all right, I'm at the point now where I have like, A, I can afford to get tattooed kind of whenever I want. And B, I kind of know what I like. And so that was a lot of just like if I saw a tattoo, like a tattooer I liked, I was going somewhere and I liked their stuff, I'd hit them up. If they were free, I'd get something out of their drawing book or their flash or whatever. And just, that was like 2019. I got tattooed like August, and then Brett tattooed me. Guy tattoos me around here a lot. That December, and right before that, I ended up getting tattooed again in Lexington by this dude who I just heard on a podcast, who I thought was really interesting, and he was going to be tattooing down in Lexington. So I hit him up, and he had space, and I went down there. So like I got tattooed like 3 times in like a couple months, and I was like, okay, like this is cool. Like I'm starting to get to that point where I'm getting tattooed a lot. And then COVID happened and shut down for a little bit, and as soon as stuff opened back up again, I just started going again and getting more. And so since then, I mean, I'm probably not monthly, but it's probably every couple of months. I mean, since since June of 2020, yeah, I've been tattooed a whole bunch now. And usually in the summer, I don't get tattooed. Like usually from
Yeah.
like I'll go like September to May, and then in the summertime, I try not to get tattooed. But starting in I know January 2021 to the end of May 2021, I think I had something like 10 I think I got tattooed like 10 separate times.
Wow.
In that stretch. So like I was getting my back done, and I knew that was going to be happening starting in April. So that January, got tattooed by a guy who's from California who was doing a spot in Louisville. So I went down there to get tattooed by him, started my chest, got my chest finished, then had a couple other random guest artists swing through shops around that I knew. So anytime I had a chance, I'd just go get tattooed. And I was getting ready to do my back because we were doing kind of a marathon thing on my back where we did my full back in 5 sessions, but we did 4 of those sessions in 4 weeks. So we did like one, then a week later did the other one, and then 2 weeks later went and did back to back like a Friday, Saturday. So went from nothing on my back to almost a full back in basically a month.
Holy
so
shit.
I figured I should probably get tattooed a lot, so I'm just ready to get that done. And so that was like starting then. So now I'm getting tattooed, I don't know, probably at least once every couple of months at this point, if not monthly. Wow. At least until we get most of the big stuff done.
Jaimie, how about you? Like, because I know that like you went through the process of getting like a major back piece done between like you were. I think you maybe were just starting it last time we had this conversation.
Yeah, I was just starting my back. Like I did it. I just started it right before COVID, so it was like maybe like late 2019, very very early 2020, like very early 2020. And then COVID hit, obviously, everything kind of shut down. And then I went back to it, and then I finished it. Like, I think a week or two before I got married. So that would have been like May of 2022. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think. So, I mean, it took quite a while, but yeah. So that was, my tattoos, I think, go in seasons. Like, I used to live down in an area with 2 different tattoo parlors. And when I was down there, it was like, as soon as that, bi-weekly paycheck of my job came in, I would just walk down there. Who's got time to tattoo my arm? And then, oddly enough, when I had an apprenticeship and worked at a tattoo shop, I barely got tattooed when I was there. I think I got like 3 tattoos maybe the whole time I was there. But yeah, it's just seasonal. Or, it's just I go through certain spots where I'm like, all of a sudden I'll get tattooed a shit ton. And then, because after my back, like, I think I did a tiny little one on my leg just randomly. And then I did not want to get tattooed ever until about 3 weeks ago, I started getting my leg worked on. So yeah. And I'll do that. I'll just go like 2 years and never even think about getting tattooed. And all of a sudden it's like, I'll be in there every other week.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Like I'm in a similar spot where I kind of go through ebbs and flows where sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm going to get like a palm sized piece like every 2-3 months. And then there's other times where like, okay, I'm going to do this where it's a big thing and it's going to be like multiple sessions. And I remember like going through that with like my chest when Nick tattooed me with that. And I was just like, man, like this is hard. Like, because it's one of those things where like, it's kind of never done. It's like, oh fuck, I got to come back and do this like 3 more times or 4 more times again. Because then you're committed. Like it's lined. You can't just let it sit. You got to get this motherfucker done. But there's some shit that just hurts and you're like, man, I got to keep coming back. Got to keep doing this. And that's one of those things. And then there's other days where it's, the birds are chirping and nothing hurts. Like the last tattoo I got, I went up to Columbus. I got tattooed by B. Sue at Cauldron, and she probably tattooed me for like 2.5 hours. It was totally chill. Like it was just like, okay, this feels like you. I don't know. I don't know. Apparently you have angel hands because like this, I don't really feel like I'm getting tattooed right now. Like this is just pretty chill. Every once in a while we hit like a spot where I'm like, and then other than that, I'm just kind of hanging out here and talking to you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that, well, you were saying too, that 2.5-3 hours, that'd be nice. Cause like, yeah, that's a good amount of time to get tattooed too. I feel like that once you start getting like north of 4, it starts to just get to be like a really like not fun situation.
Yeah.
Like I think that's kind of, and I'll get tattooed longer than I need be, but it's kind of like if we can keep it south of 4 at least like that, I don't feel like I'm dying at least on the table at that point. But yeah, sometimes like you said, it's real nice, and other times it's the worst thing you could ever imagine. It never gets any better. It's just awful the whole time.
Yeah, I think I'm down to about 2 or 3 hours max at this point. Yeah. Like I don't like sitting for a long time, and I also like know my ritual beforehand where it's like drinking tons of water the night before, not even looking at booze bottles, waking up, eating a gigantic brunch, and like all that stuff that they tell you that makes it getting easier to get tattooed. Like get tattooed in the morning, don't get tattooed. Like I'm subscribing to all that now, where I'm just like, however I can make this process easier and less painful, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. After like getting my ass tattooed, like now, like I'm getting my leg worked on, and I'm just like, this is nothing, like nothing at all. I'm like, as long as I never ever have a needle touch my ass again, I'm good. I don't care. So,
So I know yours is like full all the way down.
Yeah, it's
my
Japanese
back
style,
doesn't
yeah.
go all the way down, but it goes about, I don't know, quarter halfway down onto my ass.
Yeah.
And when we started the outline, and we outlined that thing in one session, it was an 8-hour day. And the first lines that he pulled were on, and I've gotten tattooed a bunch before then, dude. And I don't know how to describe them. People are like, it's probably not the most painful, but it's the weirdest spot, and it doesn't feel good either. And it's just, it never,
just miserable,
and it
like,
never gets like even close to, because some spots, like especially like shoulder or like bicep, like arms, like after an hour or two, like it doesn't go numb all the way, but like it kind of get into a groove, and you're kind of like, okay, like I can just show spots on your legs, same thing. But yeah, like that's a weird spot.
Yeah, if I could go back in time,
Real
that's
weird.
the thing I think I would change is just getting the shitty spots done when I was
Same.
23 years
Younger?
old,
Yeah.
and
Same.
you know,
I'm getting
thought
all
I
the
was a
shitty spots done
badass.
now, like almost
Yep.
40, and it's
Yeah,
like,
Same.
oh yeah, it's just like
I'm glad because I'm probably getting better tattoos than I would have gotten when I was
Yeah.
younger, but
Agreed,
they hurt a
Yeah,
whole lot more.
Shit hurts, bro.
yeah,
A
it's
whole
just-
lot. Yeah.
all the shitty spots are about. That's the one nice
That's everything I have left. Shitty
Yeah,
spots.
it's like having just my random left leg is the spot that only thing that needs worked on, and it's like there's no problem at all.
Yeah.
yeah, that's a great spot on the side there. Yeah, too.
Yeah, wow. Talk about like a prime rib piece of real estate. Like, if there's any place where it's like this is where you want to get tattooed, like leg, awesome. This is fine.
It
This is
doesn't
great.
hurt. It's not that bad.
Yeah,
It's just-
as long as we're not hitting the shin bone, we're good.
Not uncomfortable. Yeah, it's not uncomfortable to sit there for a few hours that way. It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
That's actually something. Yeah, just the sitting for it too. Like,
Yeah.
you got your back done, so I mean, you probably know this. When you lay on your stomach for that
Fucking
long, I don't
horrible.
think people realize, and I never realized until I did it, how bad your back hurts from laying on your stomach like
Yeah.
that for hours at a time. And then when you get a break, and like you have to like remind yourself, like, don't stand up so fast because you're gonna pass out if you stand up really quick too. So like, it's a whole like, yeah, just laying there actually sucks. Like, it's hard to just lay there that long. It really is. It sounds ridiculous, but it's true.
I broke like my sternum ribs area when I was in my like I don't know early mid 30s doing jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
And they never healed right, so actually my ribs on my right side kind of point, as my wife likes to say. If she lays it like across me or something, she's like, "Ow, that hurts." I'm like, yeah, no shit. So yeah, it's that shit. Like I never even thought like, well, why would that bother me until after about an hour of sitting on my stomach,
laying
and
on
I was
your
like,
stomach.
oh my
Yeah.
god, this is horrible.
Just laying there flat. It's awful.
Everything sucks. Yeah.
I don't like getting tattooed where I can't see myself getting tattooed. That wigs me out. I like to watch myself get tattooed
Yeah. You
because
like to watch? We
Yeah, because like I don't have any concept of
Smoking a
like
cigarette.
well, it's just one of those things where like I just like I don't have any concept like where we're at in the tattoo. Like, are we midway? Are we? You know, like what kind of progress are we making here? And you know, sometimes like tattoo artists will horse feed you where they're like, oh man, we only got to do the red and the blue, and then that's it. You know, and it's like no, there's more than that. Like. Come on, or the red and the blue are like very
Yeah,
gigantic.
you look
areas.
you look at the tray and you're like, there's 6 colors you haven't touched yet.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
something you put them out there for a reason.
Yeah.
That's what I was getting my ribs worked on. And I did it locally, so I knew didn't have to do it all in one session, obviously. And the one day, we were getting to a point, getting close to a stopping point, and I asked my guy, Brett, and I was just like, he was like, you got a little bit more time left in you? And I was like, how much? And he's like, like 20 minutes. And I was like, a real 20 minutes or tattooer's 20 minutes? And he was like, tattooer's 20 minutes. And I was like, fuck. I was like, yeah, just go ahead. It's fine. And it was wasn't crazy longer, but I mean, it's still probably, you know, an extra, it was probably 45 minutes total. But still, and you're kind of cashed out on
Right.
a bad spot. Like 45 minutes feels like a day.
It's an eternity.
Yeah,
it
is.
really is.
Every time every time they put that needle on you, you feel every part of it. It's awful.
Yeah, and I think that's something that people don't understand with tattoos is like there is spots where you're like, dude, I need to tap out right now, and it's like, oh, can you just hang in, and then have to kind of get that second wind to be like, all right, I got to tough this. I just got to make this happen. And you know, and I've never ran into anybody who wouldn't let it stop if you needed it to legit stop. But there is that thing where it's like, hey man, like if we get this done, it's done. And that's like, fuck, okay, let's put in the extra time and let's just get this
Yeah,
thing
especially if
knocked
it's
out.
like you got 20 more minutes and it can be finished, or you can stop now. It's like, okay, yeah, that's worth it there. But with like my chest, the one time we were working on that, and again, one of the spots he still had to get into, and he's like, probably got like an hour left, and part of it is like right in the middle of like right in your sternum, and I was like, yeah, that's the case. We're not finishing it tonight. Like, just not doing that. Like, I know that I can't get that part of my body tattooed for another hour tonight. Like, it's just not happening. But, you know, it's 10 minutes maybe we can make that last.
it's wild seeing that shit on Instagram. You see people like fucking shaking and shit.
I've seen that, and I'm just like, who the hell's letting that happen?
Yeah, why is
That's
this
fucked up.
happening?
Yeah, I've actually just saw something like that yesterday, and I was like, that. I hope it's fake, but I'm sure it's not. But it looked, that doesn't look good at all. Like, that's bad.
Yeah,
That shouldn't happen.
That looks bad for everybody involved. It's like it looks bad for the person that's like, I can champ this, and it's like, no, you can't.
No.
And then it's also bad for the artist to be like, hey, we need to pull the plug.
Yeah, I mean, I've sat, like I said, I think the longest I've sat for was, I mean, a full 8-hour day was 7 hours of solid tattooing probably, and never at any point did I feel like I was gonna have a seizure or like convulse or anything like that. And some of the stuff I've seen, it's like, yeah, that looks bad.
How did you guys decide to not just go with one artist for all of your work? Because that's something I run into where like, oh shit, we didn't talk about this earlier when we talked about bad parts about being heavily tattooed. So people grabbing you bad, but also, god damn it, I wish I had a nickel for every time somebody came up to me like, hey, I'm going to get this done. Or what do you think of this? And I'm like, I don't know why you're just asking me, a stranger, but okay.
Yes.
And they lay out this entire thing that they want, or they're going to get done.
Well, it's like the people that are like, I don't have a single tattoo yet, but I know 30 tattoos that I'm going to get. Or it's always a specific number. They're like, I got 5 that I'm going to get. And I'm like, well, get one. Get that first one.
Yeah.
Just get one, and then go from there.
See how
But
you
yeah,
like
it's
it.
like, that's definitely, A lot of folks have a lot of ideas about, and if you ask me right now, like what your next tattoo's going to be, I don't really know. But I know I'll get tattooed again at some point. Well, I do know because I just had a consult last week for that. But yeah, you know, like I don't have this long scheme of like what everything's going to be eventually. Like I just... Like you said, I see stuff that I like, or if there's a cool tattooer coming around that I can get tattooed by and I like their stuff, I just go and whatever they want to do. It's kind of how that happens sometimes. But yeah, a lot of folks that aren't tattooed have a lot of ideas about the tattoos they want. And I'm kind of like, yeah, just go get one of them. Just start with one.
Jaimie, have you ever been hit by the
Oh,
tattoo
it's
fairy?
yeah. Let me tell you about this.
It's like, are you a tattooer? Right? People like,
time. Yeah.
you know, I'm like, I'm actually not. So it's like, you know, I can kind of play that off pretty quickly. But like tattooers, I know they always talk about that too. It's like if you tell somebody you're a tattooer, like it's the death sentence thing because they're going to tell you every tattoo that they want to get. And it's like, just come to the shop and talk to me there, and then we can get you a tattoo. We can actually tattoo you.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Imagine talking to a car mechanic at the bar about cars.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like talking to a plumber. Like, so my pipe's busted. I don't care. You're not paying
Exactly.
me.
So I want to get a second bathroom. Now, here's what I'm thinking, stand and shower, right? His and her sinks. Now, stop me if you heard this one, going with obsidian.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, I don't fucking care.
I don't care. Yeah.
That's
I don't-
actually
I
one
don't
of my
give a
good buddies
shit.
is a plumber, ironically not, and he just carries cards with him all the time. And
Yeah.
when people do that. He just goes, he
Zip,
gives them a
there you
card,
go.
and he's like, all right, give us a call.
Yep, give us a
Nice
call.
to meet you.
Hey, when I'm on the clock, we can have this combo.
Exactly. Yep.
But so, and that's one of the things I run into when I have that conversation with people is like, people are, oh, I got my guy. And it's just like, why are you only going to one artist? And like, sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. I get it on like a super high level. Like if you're somebody who, and I think this is rare, but somebody that steps in with the idea of like, I'm getting a bodysuit
Right.
by, you know, and like, you'll see people that like, especially now we're like, I think that this has kind of happened within the world of sports where you've seen a lot of people who normally in the past would have gotten tribal or now like, oh, Japanese tattoos. And it makes sense because Japanese tattoos are great because you can just keep adding on to those things. You get a fucking smoke background or some water, some rocks. Holy shit, dude. There's so many things you can like click clack together and build a bodysuit out of. Like it's amazing.
Right.
And then there's also somebody like, shit, I forget the dude's. I think it's Adrian Baxter, who is out of California. He does like big pieces on people, and there's a few other people that do like big illustrative pieces where it's like, okay, that would make sense to get your entire body done. Or like if you could ever get like if you were a biomech person, and you get in like I only go to Guy Atchison,
Atchison,
which I okay. Apparently, if you have like Zuckerberg money and you decide to get a biomech
Is it
body
super
suit,
expensive too?
I gotta figure Guy Atchison's cost.
I mean, I would imagine, yeah, his tattoos are super cool. But I'm just
and I
never
also
been
gotta
that-
figure that his wait list has got to be like fucking so deep.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe. Then a part of me is always wondering if, like, because
I think that
how many people are really wanting to get that on them, too?
when I would
Average people.
Yeah.
Well, even for me, like I'm super tattooed, and I don't think his tattoos are cool, but I don't think I would wear like one of his tattoos
Yeah.
just because it doesn't fit like what I have going on, and I think
Yeah.
it looks really,
Yeah.
really cool.
I mean,
but I
especially-
think that's almost stuff that needs to be like on a huge
Yeah,
scale.
it needs to be
Especially,
big.
too, like, I think when you talk to, we'll say, like, a 30-year-old and younger, and you show them like biomech stuff, they're like, I don't want that. I want to get like, out 2 lines down my face. And they're like, well, that's dumb.
And that's definitely not like, that's not in the style of what's trendy right now.
I just don't know if that, but like people that are, again, like there's collectors might look at that and go, yeah, I want, my whole fucking side of my body to look like it's melting and there's a universe inside it, and that's where the most beautiful
He'll
color.
get that for you too.
Yeah, exactly.
And I agree. I do think biomech is one of those things where like you got to give up at least a half sleeve to make it look good. There's also like Adam France up in Columbus does biomech stuff, and he does really cool shit.
Yeah, you're not going to walk in and get a piece of that.
Yeah.
Right, like it's not you going to pull off a flat, like what I was talking about, like I like your stuff,
Yeah.
let me see your drawing book or your flash or whatever you want to do.
Yeah,
Like,
that dude's like, I'm spending 3 hours drawing this on your arm before we even
exactly.
do it.
That's not just like a
100%. Yeah, totally agree. So then, how did you guys get to this point where you were like, I'm not going to go to one person, I'm going to go to multiple people?
Well, I think like you were just saying, I think you said it, like the collector mentality sort of hits, right?
Yeah.
I think for me, initially maybe I thought I probably would just go to like 1 or 2 people, right? Because I don't think I thought it was as accessible to get tattooed by a bunch of different people either. Again, so the longer I was around it, following different tattooers, finding stuff that I like, seeing cool stuff, and then I'm like, well, I'm going to be in this city, and this guy tattoos in that city. Let me shoot him an email and see if I can get tattooed by him. And sure enough, get tattooed by him, right? And so you have that happen a few times, and then it's like, and I've always had really good experiences when I've done that. So I think part of it is just traveling and wanting to collect pieces from cool tattooers and meet different people, because I think when you meet them, you usually get to chat and you get a cool story. And, they're just, I've never met a tattooer that wasn't interesting, that wasn't cool to get tattooed by. But then on the flip side, like for really big stuff, I pretty much have one person that I kind of go to for the most part because he's local, and it's just, I like his tattoos a lot. I do like that idea of being loyal to an extent of getting like big stuff from one person. My back is actually from somebody who's out of Denver, but again, that was a guy who's tattooed me a few times and kind of just worked out. He was going to be traveling around, and he's kind of done a few backs like in really quick. Like if you're willing to come and get it knocked out, like he's willing to tattoo you for 30 hours and 4 sessions and, get it really knocked out. And that was kind of with that. I was like, if I don't do it that way, I might not get it. Not that I wouldn't get it finished, but I didn't want it to take forever. But yeah, I think it's just that collector thing too. Like I want to get tattooed by as many people as possible too, because there's just a lot of cool tattooers doing it, and everybody's kind of got a different little style or different, a lot of my tattoos kind of are a similar style, but they all look different. And I just like meeting new people and just, that kind of stuff. The collecting part of it, I think for sure.
I definitely, for myself, I think, I don't know if like, I don't have at this point, like, I don't really care to get, like, I got pieces on me by people that people know and are, special in that sense, but like, I don't care. Like, that's not really, like, it was just, I have, Phil the Drill did my tiki on my arm, and he was like on London Ink and all this stuff, and like, Europe and blah, blah, blah. My El Manga did my hand, who's like a very popular artist in Europe and things like that. But it was like, it was more interesting because I went to London and got it at a London tattoo convention, and the Phil thing was more because he worked in Cincinnati originally, and, shitbag talked to me the whole time I got my tattoo, and it was funny, so, I just collect, I think it's just more about like, the artist, there's particular pieces that I want more, and I have to trust somebody and find someone who I think that niche works better for. And also my big thing too is, especially if I'm getting bigger pieces or whatever, I got to be able to sit with that person and talk to them and not like want to like scream the whole time because I just can't stand this human being. And I don't want them hating me either, so we got to mesh in that sense. B, like, I want somebody who wants to tattoo the thing on me. Like, like, if I'm not making them excited about it, they're not going to put the energy in it to make that. And there's certain tattoos that I want, like, I'm like, well, I want this certain thing, and again, like, also I want them to understand the reference. And I realized that, like, I can go into one tattooer and talk about Astro Boy, and they know exactly who that is. I can go to another tattooer and say that, and they have no fucking clue. Right. My back piece has a giant Astro Boy on it. I want them to know who that is and kind of bring their own, understanding of comic book. Eamon Hill tattooed my back, and he's a comic book artist. And Astro Boy is the most popular Japanese comic book ever. I'm like, he's going to grasp that. And he brought he brought aspects to it. He was doing all I have these kanjis on my back for metal hitting metal and all types of shit like that. I never once would have thought of because of that. But there's other tattooers who I love and who I think are badass. But if I went to them, I know they would have no clue. So it is making sure the piece is, when it's a bigger piece that matters to me and that type of thing, I want someone who grasps it.
Yeah, I totally agree with 100% of everything you're saying, because I fall into that. These are all the variables I look at when I go to get tattooed. Like, first off, I'm like, all right, like, do I like their aesthetic? Do I like their style? Okay, and then do I have an idea that would work with that style, and like they could bring this vision to life, and then they're also going to be excited about doing it, because that's the thing, getting that energy of like, hey, I put my best into this. This wasn't something where it was like, I fucking got drunk at the bar on a Wednesday, and oh shit, you're coming in at Thursday at noon. I got to draw something up at 10 in the morning. Like, I want something where the artist is like, oh no, I want to do my best, and I want to create something very cool with this. And I also look into, like, a lot of times before I get bigger pieces by somebody, I'll get a smaller piece tattooed by them, so I can kind of judge, like, hey, what was that experience like, and then do I want to go back to them? So is it like, what, like, did we have a good conversation? Like, could we talk, or did we run out of shit to talk about 30 minutes in, and then they went radio silent, and now I'm just kind of stuck getting a fucking shard of metal stuck in my fucking body over and over again? Or, and then also, like, what is the pain level of, like, what's happening to me, and is this something I could see, like, sitting through for a larger piece? And that is one of those things too, where there also is a sliding scale on, because it's like, well, I hurt like a motherfucker, but goddamn, it looked cool, So it's like, well, yeah, the 2 hours I was in there sucked, but dude, this thing fucking rocks. Right. So these are all the things I take into account when I get tattooed. And at this point, like, I really have no desire to get tattooed by a big name person, just because, like, I don't want to, like, like, if I was at a convention and I could hook it up and they were there and I could get something, sure. But, like, there's so many people, like, I don't want to deal with, like, wait list, and I don't want to like have to go through, like, a secondary person to get to them, to have the conversation, to get tattooed, when I know there's so many other tattoo artists out there that are just, phenomenal and do great work, but for some reason their name isn't as big as somebody else.
And well, and one thing that just goes into the monetary sense about it is, like, tattoos are one of the few art forms that are not going to actually, like, the older you get, your tattoo doesn't gain in value, that the day you die, your whoever you leave it to turns around and sells it and can make a mint off it. I have art pieces on my wall that I collect art.
Right.
We both collect art, and we appreciate the art. I've listened to your podcast. We've talked. We know we appreciate the art, but there's also in the back of your head, you're like, I know that piece is going to be worth some money, and I know that I can retire off. If I sell.
So you're saying one of those things. I've had that discussion with my wife, who, like, knows I buy all this stuff, but I'm like, if something happens to me, and I didn't think of that until the guy that tattoos me, Brett, over Bluegrass. He told me that's what he had. He's like, I have it all broken down, and I basically told my wife, like, here's the thing, and also, like, call this person they know, but like, oh yeah, I probably need to, like, break down like what this is all worth, in case, like, I'm not around to tell her what it's all worth, because I don't want, but
having a tattoo that's by I feel like that's one of those things that
nobody's selling my tattoos.
No one's selling my tattoos, so just bragging that a tattooer tattooed me, I don't know if that's necessarily enough for me to go the extra steps to do that.
Well, I think too,
especially when there's a killer every you can go to 3 tattoo parlors, you're going to find a killer for what you want.
Well, and I've been lucky enough to get tattooed by some folks that I guess are fairly, at least in the world of the tattooers that I know, and like I don't know if you know Tim Lehigh, but I got tattooed by Tim Lehigh last year in November. He came to One Shot Tattoo on Glenway Avenue.
Oh yeah.
And I just found out about it because Brett was tattooing my ribs, and he mentioned it to me when he was tattooing me, and I was like, wait a minute, what? And I was like, and he's like, I was like, if he's got any openings, let me know. And then I kind of forgot about it, and Brett called me randomly like a month later, and he was like, hey, he's got like one opening, like that Tuesday if you want to. He's like, reach out to Jason, the owner of One Shot. And yeah, again, got tattooed by a guy that worked with Ed Hardy for years and opened Blackheart up in San Francisco with Scott Sylvie and all those dudes. And it was literally just a DM like, hey, if you got that spot, I'll be there at 6. And he was like, yep. And I walked in.
He's like, hey, I'm still a tattooer. I like money.
He looked at my leg. He drew an Oni on it with some cyborg stuff, and he knocked it out, and it was the coolest thing ever. But yeah, like, I've gotten tattoos from really cool, successful tattooers that didn't try to big time me or make me be like, well, here's a wait list and here's a blah, 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 and write me an essay and do all this stupid shit. They were just like, if you want a tattoo, I have an opening, come by and get tattooed.
Yeah.
And I've been lucky enough to get cool tattoos from pretty well, I mean, what I think are accomplished tattooers without having to jump through hoops and stuff.
I've definitely noticed too, though, there is the more old school traditional tattooers, generally they're more like the people that you can get in with and actually get the time. I feel like it is the Instagram tattooers, I'm going to just use that term because it is what it is, are the ones that are like, hey, I need like 5 paragraphs to explain what you want, and then I'll tell you if it's worthy for me. And I'm like, that's the stuff I just can't do.
And some of those, they make really cool tattoos, but I'm just, I don't have the time for that shit.
Yeah.
And it's just not for me. And I think I'm from that mentality too of like when I started getting tattooed, and probably when you did, you had to go to a fucking tattoo shop.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
talk to somebody to get a tattoo, or make a phone call to say like, "Hey, can I come in to talk to this guy?" And they would be like, "Come to the shop and talk to me. I'm not talking to you on the phone."
Yeah,
You had to show up to the tattoo shop, talk to the person, give them an idea, leave a deposit, and then come back and get tattooed, which is great.
My first tattoo, the guy sat there and smoked a cigarette the whole time he tattooed me. So that shows right there, like, you know, the era of getting tattoos.
And that's the thing that I don't do. I quit smoking, but that was used to be back in the day. That was the thing. You always stop for your smoke breaks, right?
Oh no, this dude just sat there and smoked while he did my tattoo.
It was like every hour or two, like, you want to stop and smoke, like, yep, and you go out, wrap it up real quick with some saran wrap and go stand on Short Vine and smoke a cigarette real fast, and then go back in and feel cool because you're standing out there because you're getting tattooed. Badass. Yeah, exactly. You're 18 years old. Like, yeah, man. It was
Dude, I'm ripping Marb Reds.
Cool as shit.
I was never that cool. It's probably Marb Lights, but not Reds. But yeah. But yeah, like you said, now I'm like showing up with like, I'm drinking a bunch of water and just having granola bars before I get tattooed.
Just like, oh,
I'm like, no breaks. Let's go. Let's just keep knocking it out.
In.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I feel a very similar way you guys do, because I do think we did come up in that same era of like when you went to get tattooed, like you had to go to a shop, you had to talk to the person at the front desk, you know, they'd bust out the old school planner.
Whenever we had the portfolios,
calendars,
that was tattoo shops are cool though too. That's the other thing. Going to the shop was cool as fuck.
Yeah.
Like they're covered in flash and people are getting tattooed and you can see tattoos being done.
They're always playing cool music.
And that was the stuff that that's why I wanted to get tattooed. So I was there and I was like, this is it. This is what I wanted to do. And so I like those kinds of shops too. Like if you got a cool, like the newer shops, some of them that are like, they don't have flash and they're just look. Like,
it's a weird aesthetic not to
but
have.
I think that's, I describe it too as like, I'm somebody that gets tattooed because I like tattoos. It's not necessarily the idea of being tattooed. I like actual tattoos. Yeah. I like looking at flash. I like watching, seeing other people's tattoos, like all that kind of stuff. And I think not that there's anything wrong with the flip side of that. If you want to go to a private studio and all that stuff, I've been tattooed in those before too, and it's fine. But I like something about, I remember I was getting my back done. It was at, which one was it? Sacred Hand up in Columbus that Joey Knuckles owns now. And I was there on a Friday and a Saturday back to back. And that was in May of 2021, I want to say. Yeah. And so right coming out of the pandemic, I'd been getting tattooed a lot, but a lot of shops are still like, appointment only because of the COVID stuff and like show up. Don't bring anybody with you, which is fine, blah, 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 all that stuff. That was like the first 2 days I'd been in a shop and I was there on a Saturday too, right? So like people were walking in, people were getting walk-in tattoos. Like it's a busy street shop and there's 8 tattooers tattooing and folks are getting walk-ins and folks are getting big. I'm getting a full back done. And literally at one point during that random story, Michael Jackson's daughter came in and got a walk-in tattoo. Oh, shit. Yeah. Didn't realize it at the time until the next day, but yeah, like that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's what happens when you go to the tattoo shop.
Yeah. And, well, that's, Chris Sanders, the tattooer that's working on my leg, and everybody here knows Chris. We had a conversation when he was working on my leg about like tattoos are like the thing that people, especially if they are not in that world or whatever, is like you don't get that. Really, the experience is a large part of the tattoo. And again, like I have some tattoos that are horrible fucking tattoos on a technical level, but I'm like, yeah, I love them still because they're a good story and that experience. I'm not going to get them covered up because of the experience of it, Yep. And that is such a part of it. And like really like good tattooers and good people like that grasp that. And like you said, if certain people totally okay if they're not into the shop dynamic, the flash on the walls and things like that. But if you are from a certain era, and there's a nostalgia to that too. You come in, you smell green soap.
Yes.
It's
the
greatest smell on the planet Earth. Other than stripper perfume. I don't know which, but stripper perfume and green soap. If I could get both, heaven. It just
80s unleaded gas. We'll throw that in there just so we can do the comedy rule of 3.
Man. Yeah.
I like it. Yes.
Probably going to catch something weird betwing one of the 3, but it's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. But they got antibiotics.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. I'm vibing with a lot of what you guys are saying about that too. About the idea of like a tattoo shop where like it's a shop, and that's something I do. Like any shop I go into, I always walk around to everybody's station respectfully. I stay. Right. I don't like walk into the station like start touching their shit.
Is this got AIDS? Is this
guy? Yeah. What's that? What's that?
Is this hap? Is this hap?
What's this?
Where's the hap pack?
But like I always like see like, oh, what are their drawings? Like what do they have? Like what are they making? Like what are they working on? I'm like, oh man, this is just always so cool to go and check out. And yeah, it's interesting aesthetic in like 2023 because now you do have like all different shops. You got street shops, and then you got the private studios, and you got the stuff in between that's like the artisan thing where like it's sort of a street shop, it's sort of not, and we only do this, but this is what we're known for. But then again, it's like, well, that's going to happen in the industry where like it's becoming so oversaturated with shops all over the place. Like you're gonna have people pop up and say, "Hey, man, this is the specialty shop, or this is what we do."
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think too, sometimes you got to remember if you're trying to get tattooed, like going to somebody that does a certain style of tattoo and asking them to do something completely outside of the realm of what they actually do, to like why that's not the best idea, and they're not necessarily an asshole for telling you no.
No.
Because like, why would you ask somebody that does like full Japanese bodysuits to do some lettering on you? Like, this doesn't make sense. Like, you can get that tattoo from somebody else who can do it just as well. And
you can go to like I always read his name, but I've never heard his name. Is it Big Meese up in Dayton?
Oh yeah. I think that's-
MEAS.
Yeah, I know. Who you're
Yeah,
talking
like
about.
he's the lettering god.
He does,
and it's just like that guy you go to get something lettered by. You don't go to him and be
Absolutely, yeah.
like, "Hey man, could you like bust out like this like super cool colorful piece that is like a new school thing with like a rabbit?" It's like, no man, like get
Right.
lettering from that dude. He's gonna crush anything you put in front of him that's a word. So yeah, it is interesting, like navigating those waters now and trying to find stuff. Like, I guess to kind of put a bow on this whole thing is, you got to check all these boxes at this point of getting tattooed, where it's like, because you're entering into this like very intimate thing where it's like, hey man, you're gonna be like sticking needles into me for hours and it's gonna hurt, and I need to be able to trust you, and I need to be able to know that like what you're gonna do is good and it's going to be what I want, and also like we're going to have a good time together and it's going to be cool and it's not going to be drama. You're not just going to put your fucking headphones on and not talk to me and treat me like a fucking sketchbook for 3 hours.
That's a thing too that I never thought would become a thing. I've never had that happen to me, but
I haven't had that happen to me.
I wouldn't get tattooed by
No,
somebody
I would not
that did
get
that.
walked
Like,
out with
don't
somebody's
care
wearing
what you
no,
do.
fuck
Like, you
that
could be the
shit.
greatest tattooer on the planet Earth, and I'm not doing that.
No, I'm not doing
Like,
that.
if we can't chat at least a little bit, I'm not saying we have to tell each other our life stories, but
Yeah.
if you're not going to talk to me while you're tattooing me, and that's ridiculous to me. But whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just an old man at this point.
Yeah, I think it's there's, and again, like there's nothing wrong with somebody who's like, I just like private studio, and I want to write my 3 paragraphs to get that this is the right order. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just, if you're the person that likes that, do that. That's always my thing. I'm like, there's nothing saying that's wrong. It's just, as an old timer, like I don't have that.
It
that
didn't
understanding.
exist. You didn't
Yeah,
have to get
I
a
never
tattoo.
once thought of it, so it's just not my world to.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not my world to judge, but it's also not my world to try to get into.
Exactly. And once I found out it was the thing, I'm like, okay, I just won't get tattooed by that. It's that easy.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I just
yeah.
don't need to get tattooed by you,
Yeah.
and that's fine.
And I mean,
there's plenty of people that want to, obviously.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it's just like Tank said, it's in such an oversaturated thing now that it's like almost everybody has a specific thing or tries to have a specific thing. And I mean, or they are like, fuck it, I'll be the guy that does everything, a guy or girl that does everything, you know? So you can always find somebody that whatever you want to do and how you want, again, there's a great letter that works in a shop and there's a great letter that works in a private studio. It's just finding the one that works for you.
How long will you guys wait to be on a list to get tattooed?
Well, so if I know I'm traveling somewhere like next year, like I'll reach out to somebody early. So I guess that's not technically waiting. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, but it's a good
But
idea.
if it was like a local person and I don't know, like I probably wouldn't wait much more than a month or 2, to be honest with you.
I've waited a few months on people before.
But yeah, I don't think a few months is bad. If you start hitting like 6 months to a year, I'm kind of like.
But it's also this thing too where I'm like, hey man, can you like tattoo me on a Friday or Saturday? And it's like, well, I got to punt you 3 months.
yeah.
And I'm like, okay,
that's
cool.
different. Yeah, like I have
I'm like,
specific dates.
I'm
or
like,
something.
that's fine. It's all good.
But yeah, I've been been fortunate to where like anytime I've wanted to get tattooed by somebody, it's been pretty like when I did my back again, that guy announced that he was doing this tour in like the spring. So I mean, I had to hit him up in like the fall of the year to kind of get it all laid out. So we started talking about it in October, and then the tattoo started in April. But that's just because he's not local. So I mean, once he got to where he was in Lexington when he was tattooing me first. So I mean, I guess that was the longest I probably waited on an appointment. So like 6 months, I guess, give or take. Which I think is reasonable, especially coming out of COVID. Everybody was kind of backed up.
Yeah.
Because everybody was getting tattooed.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting tattooed.
And so then it was kind of like whenever you had availability, just throw me on the books. But I was getting tattooed so much too that if I had an appointment in 6 months, I also was getting tattooed 3 or 4 times before that one. So I was getting, I guess, the itch scratch there,
Jaimie, do you have like
I've never
like a thing where it's like, oh, it's a year in the past, or
I mean, it's not that I can remember like waiting too long for a tattoo. Maybe like a month or 2. And usually it's the same as kind of like you. They'd be like, "Hey, can you come in on a weekday?" And I'm like, "Hey, I'm really busy on weekdays, so we have to find a weekend or something like that." And I get that. I mean, totally get that. It's never been really that long. Again, I think because of the tattooers that I usually go to are kind of more old school tattooers that are just like, hey, I like money, and you're offering it to me. So yeah, get in the damn seat now. I'm like, well, we can wait a day. You can draw it first.
One of the first times I even got tattooed traveling, well, the first time I can remember getting tattooed like travel, I went to Ireland when I was younger. I was like 20, went with my buddy and his family. And I didn't have an appointment or anything, but I knew and I really didn't even know because it was 2005. So like the internet existed, right? But like, it's hard to just figure out, like, we're going to be in all these different cities. Like I have to find tattoo shops. I figured Dublin was the best shot, right? Big city, I'll find a shop in Dublin. I found a shop in Dublin. It was in a shopping mall, but didn't have an appointment. And just showed up. It was the Stephen Green Shopping Center, which I didn't realize is a shopping mall, but it is. Like, it's right in the middle of Dublin. And basically got on an escalator, went up, and literally next to Laptop World, there was a place called Celestial Ring Tattoo. And when I got there, though...
It's a good name, though. It's a good name.
Solid name.
Say I got there at like 3, and they closed at like 5.
Oh, wow.
But the guy working in there were 2 tattooers there and a dude working, met me and heard I was from the state. And I kind of told him, like, hey, man, this is the only day I'm in Dublin. I just want to get tattooed. And so he was like, look at this sheet. If you pick something off of this sheet, I'll tattoo you. I'll stay after the shop closes or whatever. So like, it was super cool. I found like this cool Celtic eagle. We put it on my ribs. But again, he was super accommodating, just really nice. Like heard my story and was like, yeah, I'll stay after the shop's closed. I'll tattoo you. Like no big deal. And then similar, I went to Austin in 2013 and got the name of a tattooer in Austin from Andy at Flying Tiger and all the dudes at Flying Tiger. Andy was tattooing me and I was like, hey, I'm going to Austin in April. Like, who should I get tattooed by? And they were like, oh, go see Ben over at Great Wave. Who end up emailing, don't hear back from him for a couple months because tattooers, especially back then, don't love emails. And especially I learned after the fact, he was like, I can tattoo you, man, but like I'm booked the whole time you're here, but like come to the shop at like 9 a.m. I'll tattoo you before the shop opens if you really want to get tattooed. And I was like, sure, whatever. No biggie. And once he started tattooing me, I realized like he's doing bodysuits and back pieces and just has like a standing clientele. Didn't need to tattoo me, but just was like, oh yeah, like if you want to get tattooed, and he did like this cool eagle on my forearm and it's awesome. It's one of my favorite tattoos. And put it on me in like 2 hours. Like it was no big deal. But it was just like, once I met him and realized like, oh, he's a dude. Like doesn't have to tattoo me. He could have been like, I'm booked and that's it. And I would have been fine with it. But like, he was like, come at 9, the shop opens at noon. I'll tattoo you before my first appointment. Like no big deal. And so I've always been lucky that when I've done that kind of stuff, like people have always been super nice and accommodating. And it's just, so been fortunate in that too. So not having to wait super long and just, dudes that want to tattoo you, kind of like you were saying, just old school guys.
Yeah,
are
the
just
old
like,
school.
We want to do, and you're getting tattoos that they like. They're like, if it's a tattoo that I would do well, like again, I'm not asking them for something ridiculous.
Yeah, you're like, I found this weird thing on Pinterest. It's probably like, we're
I'm
really
like,
booked.
I want an eagle on my forearm, and it's totally open. He's like, oh yeah, we can do an eagle on your forearm. I remember he showed me the drawing, and I was like, you gonna be able to get that done before? He was like, yeah, I'll be fine.
Probably as soon as you said eagle, he was like sold. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the trick, right? Like,
Well, Brett, when I met Brett later, when he started tattooing me here, Brett's been tattooed by Ben. Brett came up tattooing in Texas. And when I told him that story, he's like, you know why he tattooed you, right? And I was like, I don't, honestly. And he was like, because you wanted an eagle. And that's like, he saw eagle and he was like, yeah, I can do an eagle tattoo. Like, no big deal. Like, I'll knock that out for you. So
yeah, it kind of goes back to like we were saying. It's like if you find the right artist and you kind of can get a gist of what, especially like, again, if they're an old timer, they grew up tracing all the shit in those, those original old school books and old biker tattoos and shit like that. Like that's the stuff that they want to tattoo.
And that's also all the stuff that I grew up seeing.
Gravitate,
And that's why I like tattoos, is because of all that kind of stuff.
And that's the bond right there, where it's like, oh, we have this common interest with this thing, spoke to both of us. And, I'm willing to get this put on me. You're willing to put it on me. This is your job. This is what I collect. Boom. And peanut butter and jelly come together. And you got something magical.
Yep. It's that tattoo magic, right?
Yeah. So so one thing about this is like, traveling, I think, is very interesting to get tattooed because it is that thing where it's like, it is something a little special because like you're outside of your home and you got to have a little bit of trust, but you can kind of seek this person out. And I've been tattooed on the road a bit, but not too much. But every time I have been tattooed on the road, it has been like something that's very memorable for me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was really, really lucky in 2010. My friend and I went to San Diego Comic-Con, and to be honest with it, it's been too long now, but we snuck into San Diego Comic-Con. But we had it all set up to basically like one of us could be in and one of us had to wait outside. So I remember texting him and saying like, hey man, and he was just walking through the main drag of San Diego. I said, if you find a tattoo parlor, I want to get tattooed tonight, when I leave here. And he was just randomly like, I found a tattoo shop. It's like, 6 blocks this way, just go this way. and like wind up walking up and walked in this tattoo shop, and I was like, this is badass. There's like all these skateboards, like they set up the whole front of the thing was full of skateboards, old flash, shotgun style, like 6 booths. And I just walked up and said, I want to get old school my knuckles tattooed. And they were randomly like, this dude Zach will show up. And Zach Pinsworth was actually like a well-known tattooer in that area, like quite well-known in the like West Coast. But again, it's that same thing. He's just like, I don't know, it's Saturday night, I want money. And he walked in with a dime show girl, and like, you know, she's hanging out. You know, she went to the bar, and he just came and tattooed my knuckles. Cool as shit. But it is that, like, I was just so lucky. And I didn't realize it was Tahiti Felix, which is the oldest tattoo shop in the West Coast.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's like a legit, like, tattooer, you know, haven of a shop. And I'm like, fucking walked into history and never once had a clue of it. And such a fun story that literally was just, like, chosen on the moment, you know?
So I have a similar one, not probably as, but yeah. When I got engaged, my wife and I got engaged in like 2008 up in Chicago. And the day after we got engaged, we were just walking around, and it was like a Saturday, and she and at that point I had a few tattoos. Again, was not heavily tattooed, but she knew like I liked getting tattooed. I wanted to be heavily tattooed, and she was like, "Hey, do you want to get a tattoo, like to commemorate?" You know, and she at this point she has 3 tattoos. That was the last tattoo she got, but I was like, "Hell yeah! Like I definitely want to get tattooed. Like, are you serious? Like, let's do it." And we just found the closest tattoo shop that we could find, which was the Chicago Tattoo Company.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
So I got tattooed by Mario Desa, and she got tattooed by Nick Colello.
My ex got tattooed
but
by Mario.
had no clue at the
Hell
time
City
really who they were. We walked in, and now fast forward, I've learned that they always had their Saturdays open for walk-ins, because those dudes love, like now they, you know, Nick owns Great Lakes, and that's all they do on, and he doesn't take appointments anymore. He only does walk-in tattoos.
Oh, damn, yeah.
But after he tattooed me, again, I really got a great tattoo. It was a cool experience. Mario's super, super nice. Talked about skateboarding a lot and stuff like that. But then, you know, fast forward a few years later, and I start getting on Instagram and looking at tattooers and getting way more into tattooing, and remembered his name and looked him up, like, oh, I'll follow him, and then realized, like, oh, he's like got a bunch, like, I guess he's a guy, like people really know who he is. And then heard Nick on a podcast later and pieced it together that I was like, oh shit, that's who tattooed my wife, was Nick. It was Nick and Mario just hanging out there, and the same thing, just walked into it just to get tattooed, and got tattooed by 2 awesome dudes, got great tattoos, and it was it's a just cool.
Again, I just think it's that certain era of people that just came up. I do think that that's one thing social media changed, because it did make a lot of rock stars, which probably is a good thing for a lot of them to get recognized outside of their social circle of whatever area and things like that. I don't think it hurt them, but it definitely is fascinating that like those guys are just dudes who tattoo.
Yeah.
You know? They're just people like, oh yeah.
Super nice, yeah. I got tattooed by Chet Coplinger a couple years ago too, and same thing. Like, shot him an email. I was like, I'm gonna be in Nashville, and that dude's always on a plane, so I was like, there's no chance he's gonna be in town. And it was a Saturday. He's like, yeah, I'll be here. Come at 11. And picked something off the wall, and he tattooed me. And that dude tattoos faster than any human being on the planet Earth, too. Like, I don't know if you know, he did this Reaper on my leg. That thing took 30 minutes.
Jesus.
Wow.
It was insane how fast he tattooed me. Like, I did not believe him when he told me. And it's wild how fast that dude tattoos. And again, super nice, really laid back, just very soft-spoken dude. And just wants to tattoo people.
So something I'm kind of picking up as we have the conversation here is like, you seem to gravitate towards like, hey, let me get something out of your book. Let me get some of your flash. Like, has that always been a thing for you where like you've come in and been like, do your thing? Or do you normally come in with like, hey, I have an idea and this is what I want?
That's been probably more within the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Like, once I got more into tattooing and learned that, hey, you can just get like, because again, I came up early 2000s getting tattooed, mid 2000s, a lot more shops were turning to kind of the custom, right? Like, there wasn't as much flash around. Like, I was getting tattooed at High Street Tattoo when Giovanni first opened it, right? And so, like, that place had very little flash and everything was custom. And that's just what I thought was the norm then, and nobody was doing a lot of the old school kind of stuff that I liked. And then that kind of started coming back. And I realized as I got older, like, oh, yeah, you can get those. Like, you don't have to, or, like, tattoos don't have to have a specific meaning all the time either, right? Like, you can just get cool-looking tattoos from people that make cool art that you like. And so that's probably been more within the last 5 years or so, where if I'm traveling to get tattooed from somebody, I don't want to overcomplicate it, so I just want it to be as easy as possible. And I've learned, too, that's an easy way to get tattooed by these dudes. I like your tattoos. If you got time, I'll pick something out of your book, or I'll pick flash, whatever you like, whatever's easiest. I know you're going to give me something cool. I don't have to be super difficult. But then on the flip side, like, if I'm getting tattooed around here, like, I'll maybe come in with an idea of, like, what I want, and then have them, like, a lot of stuff Brett does on me, he draws. So, none of that's usually flash. But for the most part, if I'm traveling, I try to keep it pretty, or if somebody's doing a guest spot somewhere, like, I'll just, I'm like, you bring in a book, like, I'll just check out whatever you have, because I just think that's, and then you get better, at least I think I get better tattoos from them that way, because I'm getting stuff, like you were saying, that they're into, that they want to do. This is the stuff that, and there's a reason I like their art, right? I like what they do, so do what you do on me. And like, I don't need to, I'm not an artist. I like to collect it, but I don't know. I know what I like, and I know you can make it look cool. So just do your thing.
Jaimie, what about you? Like, are you a guy that collects?
I'm
flash
kind of
people?
like half and half. Yeah. Yeah. Again, it's kind of like I was saying earlier, like if I come up with an idea, it's just, I'm lucky enough to know the most people and the people I really like getting tattooed from. So it's kind of like I did this giant piece on my leg of Harry Houdini. Yeah, it's Harry Houdini, but it's Houdini and it has a bandana that says abracadabra on it. And I know that Chris Sanders is huge like nerd of like old 1930s and 40s imagery and things like that, so I felt like that was something I could extremely accommodate, and I needed somebody who like can capture likenesses and just draws good, and it has a lot of lettering. And to be honest with you, lettering is something, as a former graffiti head, I'm really not like, that's one of the few things that I would say I'm extremely picky about.
I'm very picky about lettering.
Yeah, I'm like this like, so I know Chris does killer lettering.
He
so
does.
I was just like, and that's a big ass word. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
But I think that's the thing with like knowing tattoos, right? Like some folks that don't know it enough would think like lettering's super easy to do, right? And like,
Yeah,
that's
no,
the
it's the
tattoos
hardest
you
thing.
see get
The
messed
hardest
up
thing.
a
Yeah.
lot. That's why I don't have a lot of. I don't really have much lettering at all. I mean, I have my kids' names, and that's pretty simple, stuff like that. But yeah, like getting a lot of letter. Yeah, like you gotta.
well, that's the thing. I'm like,
screwed up real easily.
yeah, an 8-year-old knows what a T looks like. You know what I mean? They know the difference between a T and a J. But you could show them 50 skulls, and they're sort of like, I don't know, they all look the same. It's
Right.
just, there's a difference there.
Yeah, there's definitely a thing with lettering where it's one of the hardest things to do because of it's either right or wrong. Like there's not a lot of C minus work on lettering.
Yeah.
It's a fucking A or it's an F.
Yeah.
Like either this thing works or it doesn't.
You gotta, it's just understanding that, and even especially if the person wants to be a little more flamboyant or show off on it. Again, being a former graffiti head, it's just like everybody wants to put their own flair and touch on it, and some people just aren't skilled to that. It's just, and again, it's not knocking them. That's just like that's not your skill.
What you do, yeah.
Yeah.
How do and we talked about this a little bit earlier, Simon. Like you said, you got some cover ups. Jaimie, do you have any cover ups?
My hand.
Your hand,
Yeah,
your hand.
My hand is cover up. I originally had a anchor. It was the oldest anchor ever found in history. It was a Viking anchor.
Cool.
The tattooer and I just had a lot of disagreements. He wanted to do a Sailor Jerry anchor on me, and I didn't want that. I wanted the original anchor, the oldest anchor found in history. And I had actually, it just turned into a big spiel. And then finally he was like, well, fuck it, I'll just tattoo. And I had a sketch and I had done myself. And I was like, I don't need you to do this. I want, your take on this. And he just put the sketch on, and I was so pissed off. I was like, well, fuck, I'm getting what I want now. I'm not getting a Sailor Jerry anchor. I'm not in the Navy, and my father's a Marine, and I was like, I don't disrespect military things because of being raised with a military father. So I was like, not going to happen. And there was always a negative energy to that tattoo because of the experience. And technically, it was a fine tattoo, but it was that. So, in 2017, I got a bat head from El Mongo, and went to the London Tattoo Convention, and largest tattoo convention in the world, and got one of my all-time top 5 tattooers to put it on my hand. So. And that was one of the few times I did not get to talk to the tattooer while he did it, because he doesn't speak English, which very interesting to get tattooed by someone who does not speak your language. Very, very small.
That's I wouldn't never had that happen.
But that's the only cover up I have, and that's arguably the only one I plan to ever get. There's nothing on me that I'm really like. I have dumb tattoos, but I'm fine with them. I don't mind them.
So we're starting to wind down here. Like, I just kind of want to talk about some like current stuff that's happening and just kind of get your guys' opinion on it. One, what's your guys' take on like modern fine line tattoos? Because it seems to be like now there's a lot of minimalist stuff happening where people are getting like really small tattoos in really big areas. How do you feel?
It's not for me, but I mean, like, you want to get them, that's fine. But that's not why I like tattoos.
I'm in your boat.
Tattoos that look like I can do them, those aren't cool to me. Like, I can't do the stuff that I have on me. That's why I like it a lot too. And it's just But that's what you want to get. That's cool. It'll be easy to cover up later if you really don't like them.
True story. I think that's, again, a much younger generation that probably doesn't have the economic standpoint to invest in a larger tattoo. So, and I was younger too and broke, and I get the idea that you just want to get tattooed.
Right.
Get
something.
Yeah, when they're the curious part is going to be when they're like and they're hit 40 and they're looking at their little, bone that's an inch across their whole entire forearm, across the forearm, they have a bone there and go, well, that's kind of dumb. I want to get like a giant skull to cover that up. And then, because I think that will change. I just think that that's a large part of it. You don't see many like 40-year-old guys at gyms or, women at gyms and things like that rocking that stuff.
When I just think that the visual of like having, like
It's-
I always joke that kind
It's
of
not
like,
aesthetically pleasing.
like if I didn't have a ton of tattoos, my first tattoo that I got would probably look a little bit silly on my arm where it is and like just by itself, right? But like now that I got a bunch of other stuff around it, it kind of like
It's
not
part.
that-
It's
but
part.
yeah,
It's part of the scenery.
exactly. And so
Yeah.
similarly, but you were saying too, I get the part where like, don't have as much money when you're younger, but some of these, from what I'm seeing, some of these tattooers are doing these tiny tattoos are also charging
That's true. They're
exorbitant
not
amounts
cheap,
of money
yeah.
for these things. And that's the part where I start to get a little irked, where I'm just trying to inform people a little bit more, like go to a real shop and get a better tattoo for less money, probably too. Like you don't, but
Yeah.
not saying all of them are, but but they're just,
I think it's that thing too where like again, younger kids that are growing up more on social media and things like that, the consciousness is like, oh, this is cool to have
Yes,
this tiny
when it-
little tattoo. And it's, and I mean, like I was out at I don't know if it was like Kroger or somewhere just doing grocery shopping and some girl walked by, no forearm tattoos, nothing, but she's got tiny
her
junk
face tattooed?
half down her face.
Yeah.
And she's like 21, 22,
Yeah.
and I was just like,
Right.
well, that's a life choice. But I think that that's a part of like, that's just what, as a younger person, you've grown up. That is like the aesthetic pleasing thing as compared to investing in, something bigger and colorful.
And I
or
think that
cooler.
goes back to what I was talking about before. Like with us, like you probably like tattoos before you were tattooed, right? Like
Oh,
I
yeah.
used to go buy magazines to look
Yeah.
at
Oh
tattoos.
yeah, I grew up.
Like
I grew up
without
around
the
bikers.
without the social media piece of it. Like
Yeah.
now you're, again, if you're younger, you just see tattoos all the time. So
Yeah, and a very
exactly,
and
like you're like, well, this is the cool thing that everyone's
and
doing
arguably
now.
too, if a kid is 20 years old, I'm like 25 years older than them. So when they
Yeah,
see
that's
me,
true.
I'm like the old man. So like whatever the old man has isn't cool anymore.
Right.
So it's like getting little dumb shit as compared to having your Adam's apple tattooed. I grew up around bikers, so.
Probably some cool tattoos.
Oh, that's so badass tattoos.
Right.
That was, I mean, their houses looked like shit and they couldn't afford anything, but
They
those
had some
tattoos
killer
were made. Yeah,
tattoos. Right,
it's
yeah.
fucking Harley Davidson symbols and the giant eagles on their
Wild
shoulders.
backs, right? Like the
Oh.
heart, like the naked lady eagle. and
Oh
that
yeah,
kind of
there was so
stuff.
much badass tattoos, like but, and I mean again though, I had that aesthetic growing up, and I mean that, and especially as a young man, like that was like a very like this like tough guy, these
Well, that's
guys
who was tattooed, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you
these
know,
were like 1%er guys. Like, they were
Yes.
legit, and it was like, oh, I want to be that tough guy.
like super attractive, popular people weren't heavily tattooed.
Yeah, yeah.
being
My
honest. Like, those
the
weren't the
peop- I
folks
wasn't
that were-
watching movies and seeing people with forearm tattoos at
Right,
the time.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And I also kind of take it as like when I step back and think about it, because today I do see like modern stuff that is like a thing where somebody gets, to me it's like drawing a 3-inch by 3-inch image inside of an 18 by 24-inch piece of canvas, and it's like that's just aesthetically doesn't fit the space.
Yeah.
Like I wish it fit better, but then at
Right.
the same time, then I think of it from the angle of if I was in Gen Z and I was like 20, I would not have a lot of money, so I could get what I could get. And then I also think too about the idea of like, we talked earlier about, now it's punk rock to like not have tattoos. Now it's kind of like, it's like you have one, but it's special and it has meaning or something, but it's small. It's not a big thing. But there's a mark that separates you from everybody else. And it's like, okay, I can kind of get that. And then, and I think it does go back to the price point thing again, where it's like we all grew up like getting small pieces as we could. I think it's kind of their version of that, of getting small pieces as they can. And then it'll be interesting to see like if this is a fad where it's like, well, I got this and it's that, or if they do continue down the road of like, oh, this was the gateway that opened the door for me to then start getting more tattoos.
It'll be interesting
Yeah.
to see how the visual culture shifts from maybe from that, And again, you can't be mad at them because like kids nowadays, like the people they look up to are people on TikTok that have
Right.
these tiny tattoos. It's just a different aesthetic that they're viewing in that world.
In the act of rebellion, where like every generation has to do something that was taboo for the generation before, pisses them off and all that. And I think that's why we're now seeing like an increasing amount of like hand and face and neck tattoos on people that aren't heavily covered. People that like, oh, this is like my second tattoo and I got like something written over my fucking eyebrow.
Right.
And it's just, but this is the thing at the time where you and I were getting half sleeves. And it was like, oh shit, if I get a full sleeve, like this might be crossing the line.
Yeah.
What else it was like if I get a full sleeve, again, what we talked about before, I wanted to save spaces so that I maybe was getting stuff better down the road. And I think I ended up just getting better tattoos because of that, maybe luckily. But yeah, you're right. Definitely seen a lot more hand and face tattoos than I've ever seen before in my life, for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Chris Sanders said it best. He was like, one time a guy looked like you talking to me. He's like, if you were at a bar, you look like you, so everybody left you alone. He's like, now you look like you and everybody wants to talk to you. Because it is. It's like seeing people with hand and neck tattoos is not as abnormal. So it's just.
No, I was talking to somebody about, you were talking about being at Kroger and not same thing, but like saw probably like 4 different people who like heavily tattooed, like you, but like hand tattoos, but like heavily tattooed. And I was like, you never saw hand tattoos. Not that I'm against them. I think hand tattoos rule. I just don't have them yet because I got to wait probably with the work thing. It's probably not the best. I got to kind of draw the line at the wrist. But yeah, I love hand tattoos and I never see those just out all the time. And now I can see a dozen of them if I just go out and walk around for a couple hours.
It's especially in certain places that I go, because it is weird. Like 9 out of 10 times I see people with tattoos all the time, but usually like the neck and hand thing does differentiate me from people. But like certain areas of Cincinnati, even if I'm in them, I'm like, oh yeah, you're like one of 12 guys or 12 people sitting here with hand tattoos. It's just like I'm like, none of us can get a job in an office. Just like all 12 of us decided that ain't happening. All right.
Do you guys have any urge to get any other modifications other than tattoos? So more piercings, scarification, brandings, anything like that?
I've never even had a piercing. I've never had anything pierced.
Never had a piercing?
No.
Really?
Just only tattooed
Wow.
my whole life.
Interesting.
So I have connected earlobes, and my brothers told me about this all the time when I was a kid. So I guess the only thing I would have got were my ears, but I was wildly self-conscious about that as a child. So and I started getting tattooed when I was 17, and I just was getting tattooed instead of getting pierced. I think a lot of people I knew got pierced before they could get tattooed.
Yeah.
And so I just started getting tattooed, and that was it. So yeah, so for me, it's really just always just tattoos. That's all.
I have no attraction to anything else, to be honest with you.
I think you and I are just both down to like our ears are stretched at this point.
Well, yeah, my ears, like, I mean,
and we
I've
can't
always
really
liked that look, but again, I think my earlobes wouldn't work for it. Like it just it's weird.
Yeah. I think we're just at a point where we really can't put the genie back in the bottle. So they're just gonna remain.
I'm like 45 years old. Like, what do I need like nose rings for? You know, it's just at this point it just wouldn't work for me. But yeah, my ears I don't think would grow. I've taken them out for over a year and they still were. There was a hole there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, mine grew down to a point. The first time I got my ears done, I got pierced with a 10 gauge. And then in the same session, I got it stretched to a 6. So like basically, I just got a gigantic chunk of my ear like.
Yeah, I was gonna
punched
say
out.
yours are scars. At that point.
I don't know a lot about that, but that sounds like a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
lot.
yeah.
Wait,
That's a decision.
Started at 10, then goes to so is it the smaller number, the bigger the gauge?
Yeah, so
Okay.
so
I don't know anything about
so
that.
like if you normally get your ears pierced, you're getting pierced with like I want to say it's like a 16 or a 14 gauge somewhere in
It's
there.
like a normal piercing.
Yeah,
Okay.
and instead I got like a gigantic needle just right through the ear, and then at the same time they just stretched it because I came in and I was like 19. I'm like, I just want to get holes in my ears, and they're like, sure,
we can do that. We can accommodate.
we can make that happen.
We can make that happen for sure.
Yeah.
I had a buddy in high school that had his ears and he said he basically got them pierced, and then he's an artist too, actually, like for a living. And at the time we were younger, he would paint a lot and stuff. And he said he would just take his paintbrushes and put them in his piercings and just kind of stretch them that way. And I was just like, is that how you do this? Like, okay.
That's one way to do it.
So yeah, but he did it himself. I think those are pretty much closed at this point.
just kind of a at home DIY
yeah,
taper.
but he said he'd be painting and he would just take, and I guess the paintbrushes have bigger and bigger. And
Kind
he
of the
just-
width
yeah.
comes out. Yeah, I can
Yeah,
see
he
that.
he did it himself that way.
Yeah, I've really had I've had various piercings, but at this point I'm just down to my ears. At one point I thought about getting scarification, and I talked to somebody who had scarification, and I was like, hey, what's it like? And she was like, well, they use medical scalpels on you. I was like, okay. And she's like, that's not bad. She's like, honestly, she's like, it feels like getting lined. And I was like, okay. And, getting lined's not exactly the greatest thing in the world, but at the same time, it's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine that it'd be the same. That seems way worse.
Yeah.
But-
But here's where she fucked me up. So then she's like, the healing on it is awful.
Oh,
and I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, because like you're in a shower and you like have to like clean it out and like you're physically touching inside of where your open wound is, and she was like, at some points, like I had to use a toothbrush to get in the finer areas, and I'm like, this sounds awful and horrific.
Because I guess it's like a wound that would normally need like stitches or something to heal, right? Like almost like it's
right, and at the same time, you're trying to force the scarification to happen. So you like you're wanting it to like not heal enough to where it doesn't scar, but you're wanting it to not get infected. So now you're playing like this weird fucking game of like
that's no, because that stuff was kind of a lot bigger. I want to say back in the like when I was getting tattooed at first, right? I knew more people that had them. I haven't seen that in a long, long time. But there was, you remember, you lived in Columbus. Yeah. This Evolved, the tattoo shop there. They had that whole, everybody was like Flesh Crew or whatever. Yeah, and those dudes were always doing the body hangings and the scarification.
Reverend, what's his name?
The dude that had that van that he drove around with the skulls on it and shit.
That scary van.
But like that was, but that I remember seeing, because you could find like people, like videos of people getting, and I remember watching that once or twice and be like, I don't ever want to do that.
Yeah, that like late 90s, early noughts, modern like tribal
primitive thing.
It's kind of saying brand. I saw a couple people get brands done, and I was like, no thanks, that's not for me either. That looks awful.
Yeah, and well, and the other thing too with brands is like there was just a lot of stuff where it was, depending on who you were getting branded by, it was like, well, you could only kind of get kind of simple shit where it's like, yeah, we can make a star because like we got a piece of metal that's like, you know, or you would like see stuff with like, I mean, with like black fraternities where they could like bend stuff to like make like an omega or whatever, and then they could like do it at home or whatever. Like you would see stuff like that, but I never really saw like a bunch of people with like scars outside of those kind of like two areas.
Yeah, and for me it was always like you get the simple stuff that way brandings. With the scars or the branding.
Yeah, brandings.
Or I could go get tattooed and get like almost something cool any image that I want. Yeah, if we're being really honest, and that was way more appealing to me.
Yeah, through a lot of my life, like I was doing martial arts, so like the more shit I got in my face or scars or something like that, I'm like, that's more infected and or punched out of my face. So I'm like, it's not worth it. Yeah, I have a tongue ring. I had that for like 20 something years, and I forget about it constantly, and then randomly like something glints in my mouth, and so that's about as wild as my piercing.
All right. So did we not hit? So I got a final question. Was there anything we didn't hit tonight you guys wanted to talk about? I know.
Other than here's one people always ask, like, do they hurt? Yes, all tattoos hurt. They all hurt. Every spot. Yeah, they all suck. If anyone tells you they don't hurt, they're lying. Yeah,
I had a guy one time tell me that he fell asleep while getting his ribs tattooed.
Oh, dude, I've had so many people tell me they felt like
you're fucking Frankenstein.
Or you're just a liar. Is really what it boils down to. I just got my ribs tattooed. There's no chance in hell any human being could fall asleep getting their ribs tattooed.
I'm pretty sure I found religion when I got my ribs tattooed. I mean, I always said there was a old school girl head that was in the corner of Mother's. I think it was Mother's. I got tattooed out there. And I just remember when I got my ribs done, I just stared at it the whole time. And then after it was done, I was like, eventually I have to get that tattooed on me because it's the only thing to save me.
Gotcha.
You know?
Did you get it?
Not yet. I still need to go back there and get that damn tattoo.
No, I'll tell you the same thing. I just got, that was the most recent tattoo I got. And I've been getting tattooed for 20 years at this point. And thought I'd worked my way up to being like, all right, just did my chest, did my back, and like, knew it was still going to be bad. And it was the worst. It was the worst.
It was the shittiest of shitty, yeah.
That and my foot. Foot's really bad too.
I got my foot. I got my feet when I was really young, and
my foot sucked.
Yo, shout out David Balgans. What up, dog? He American Crow Tattoo. I think he still. I think it's the shop he owns in Columbus.
Okay.
He tattooed me when he was apprenticing at Body Language, and getting both my feet outlined sucked. But all the color.
Mario guy.
I got Mario and Luigi. Getting my color put in with the shader, it literally felt like he was running a vibrator on the top of my feet. I don't know what magic hands this man has.
It's for you.
But getting shaded was not bad.
I felt every minute of my foot. I only have my one foot done yet. I'll get the other one done eventually. But it was bad.
It's not fun. No,
it wasn't fun.
I was like maybe 22 or so, 23. So I think it was just young. I could handle a lot different. It was like
35.
Yeah, that's the thing that like people don't get too. It's just like as you age, more and more like your pain just does not.
Yeah, I get it for sure now. I was getting my ribs done, and the guy that works at Bluegrass with Brett, in the room I was in, I could kind of see his station, and they have a window cut out. Right, and I could see this other tattooer, and he was kind of watching me get tattooed. And I was talking to him while Brett was tattooing me, and he could tell I was struggling on the outline. And he showed me his. He's like, "Yeah, I got my ribs done 10 years ago," and he's like, "I don't have the other side done for a reason." He was like, "That was 10 years ago, and I haven't had anybody touch the other ones since then." Because he's like, "Yeah, it's bad. It's real bad."
Yeah, and yet another reason, listener, why I want to get on testosterone.
Yeah, true story.
Yeah, is that what I need to do for my?
I don't know.
Will it help?
It seems to solve a lot of problems as you get older. So
Okay.
I think it's that. I think it also there is something about the more and more you get tattooed, the less and less adrenaline is dumped into your body, like
Okay.
the excitement of it.
That's
is
true.
Missing,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, you think
get
about
that.
just think about like your first 6 times walking into a tattoo parlor.
Yeah, it was always a production. I was ready to, like, it was
Yeah.
not in
Yeah.
a bad way, but yeah, like,
Yeah,
I'm
you
like,
heard,
I'm getting tattooed.
you know,
This is
you're
really
you're
cool.
hearing coil machines at that
Yeah.
time. You're probably arguably, especially if you're a young person walking into that, you're probably intimidated by this like older tattooer, you know.
Or just feeling kind of cool because you get to go in there and get
Yeah,
tattooed by
so
these
it's
older
just like
folks. Yeah,
all
like,
that adrenaline
you gotta
pump as
tough
compared to
up.
now. You're just kind of
Yeah.
like, you know, it's another dude. at
now
the
I'm like,
office.
this is fucking stupid and nobody needs these, and I don't really know why I'm doing
I think
it.
that's one thing about like rotary machines that like people don't.
I've never been tattooed with one yet.
They're not bad.
No,
but
I
it-
have no issue with- yeah,
but
but
it is. There's
it-
something about the
it's
fact that
weird.
you don't hear that the
Yeah.
chainsaw's not going
Yeah.
on, and I do think that kind of affects like. It's not like Jesus Christ. There's a weapon coming pointed at me.
Like, it
you
makes
know,
it a
like
little bit better
pump
because you
up.
can't
Yeah,
actually hear. Okay.
yeah.
I've been in the presence of one, and it is wildly quiet. Like,
They're
it's
so-
very,
yeah.
very
Yeah.
interesting how quiet it is.
I like gunshots in my rap. I like blast beats in my metal, and I like coil machines at my tattoo shops.
It's a good sound.
Th-
It really is.
those are sounds I enjoy that make me feel like I'm like, yes, I know what this is, and
My
let's
body's
go.
on alert now. I'm scared. Good
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look, guys. Final question. Bodysuits? Question mark. Is this what we're building towards? Is this happening? What's going on?
I mean, for me, that's always been the goal. So yeah, I'm hoping to. Like I said, getting the other side of the ribs done at this point. So we're getting close to like the torso is almost covered. So there, I mean, if I can get that done, that's pretty much the big crappy part. So yeah, I mean, that's always been the goal for me. Hopefully we get there, but we're already a lot further than I ever thought I would get. So that's cool. So yeah.
Jaimie, what do you think about you, man?
I mean, maybe at this point. When I finish up my leg, and then I'm kind of like all the big spots in my body are like full. And once this bottom, my kneecap down is done, and that's what I'm working on towards. So once that's done, I don't know if I'm like the grand idea of like getting everything, like filled in with back filler or anything like that. I do want to leave spots because I like to travel, and I always want an option to get a
Yeah.
tattoo when I'm somewhere, you know.
Right. I
So-
get that piece of it too. That's where I'm kind of like hesitant to cover everything right now, but like I
Yeah.
want to have some spots for sure, but
Yeah.
also yeah.
I mean, I'm 5 years shy from 50, and I would like to at least have everything kind of by 50. Like, if
That-
I get tattooed, it's going to be an hour and a half or under. You know, because I'm gonna be
Yeah.
older, my skin's going to start changing. You know, you're getting your
get that.
testosterone lowers and
Yeah.
everything else. So I want to be at that point, but at the same time, I want to be like, well, I wake up today and I'm in Amsterdam or Japan or Ireland or
Wanna go
wherever.
get
I want to
something.
walk into a tattoo parlor and get some dumb
Get
little
something.
thing. And
Yeah. And those are the fun ones really too.
they are.
Like like some of my small tattoos are my favorite ones, and I have 35-hour tattoos on my body, and then I have one that took an hour, and I'm like, I like that one
because it's
more,
the experience.
probably.
It's the story that goes with it. You know,
Exactly.
that's my wife and I got to go to Amsterdam a few years back, and one of my biggest regrets is I walked right past a tattoo parlor, and she's like, "Are you going to go in?" And I was like, "I just don't think we got enough time." To this day, I'm like, "You should have just not slept that night and got some tiny little tattoo there." you know?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm in a very similar boat where I don't see myself stopping getting tattooed, but I would like to get the majority of my stuff wrapped up by the time I'm 50. You know, just because the shit hurts now, man. And it really is to a point where I'm like, it's like 3 hours max, and I'm pretty particular on who tattoos me at this point in terms of bigger stuff where I'm like, all right, I know this person's not going to murderize me and it's going to hurt, but it's not going to be just death for fucking 3 to 4 hours.
Right.
But yeah, I still have stuff I want to get, and it's just like it just kind of keeps going, and I can't imagine stopping the process. Like I don't have a spot in my mind where I'm like, oh, I'm going to stop getting tattooed just because I still have spots that I want to get done. That being said, like I never really see myself getting into like getting my head done. Like I don't really want to get
See, I was
anything
gonna ask you guys about that.
done,
I'm curious.
done my face or my head. Like being a bald guy, like I've seen very few like good head tattoos. One of the only ones I've ever seen that I really like, and I always reference this. Somebody asked me about head tattoos. Is I was flipping through a magazine and I saw some dude who had traditional Japanese waves tattooed all over his head, and on the back of the crown of his head he had a ship that was in the middle of the waves. And I
Okay.
was like, fuck, that's super cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, I appreciate when people get like flowers or skulls or whatever on their head, but or you know, and I've seen people like biomech shit on their head, and it's kind of cool looking. But like, I'm like, I don't want to be biomech guy, you know. And I just can't really find anything that I really want to like fit my head.
Yeah, and I'm not going to get mine anytime soon, but I think that's the spots that maybe like when I'm an old man, if I'm still wanting to get tattooed, maybe, who knows, I get my head tattooed. So I've seen some, like you were saying, that Timothy Hoyer recently has done a couple full heads on some dudes, and he did one that was all Japanese waves, and it was the first, like, and it's a full like helmet almost. It's one of the dudes that works at Alley Cat Tattoo that he did it on, actually. And that's like one of the first full head tattoos that I saw. And then he did another that was just wind, and I think maybe cherry blossoms or something, and that like looked really cool too. But for the most part, yeah. But I like kind of up the neck on the back of the head. I've always seen, I don't have one, but I've always, certain things that way look kind of cool too. But it also seems really awful to probably get your skull tattooed.
Yeah, I probably appreciate it.
Yeah. And then the joke I told my mom, so I told my mom I'm getting my face tattooed when I turn 80. Like if I make it to 80 on my 80th birthday, I'm going to get something small on my face. And the absolute meltdown that she had when I said that was hilarious. And I was like, are you serious? First of all, I was like, I don't even really know if that's true. But secondly, like, I'm not trying to be a dick, but like when I'm 80, you're going to be dead for a really long time. Like, it's okay if I get my face
like
tattooed at 80.
math,
Like at 80, like I'm good. Like
you're not going to.
if I really make it to 80, and my one buddy who has 0 tattoos, he told me, he's like, I'll get my face tattooed with you if we turn 80 together. I was like, all right, yeah, for sure. But yeah, other than that, but yeah, no. Hopefully, you know, bodysuit eventually, but if we can get there.
Nice. Jaimie, like you said, you're trying to wrap things up at 50. Would you go up top to the head or?
No, I'm really vain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm extremely vain. I'm a very pretty man, and I prefer to keep it that way.
Yeah.
It's one thing I'm very, very vain about is my prettiness, and I don't want to fuck with that. So.
Well, I think one of the things I've thought of too is if I get older and I still have all my hair, like if I still have my hair, maybe I'll get my head tattooed because then I can grow it in if I don't want to show the tattoo. But if I go bald, then it's like,
See, I don't get. I look like Homer Simpson, so I don't get that option.
Yeah,
so.
same.
And unfortunately, right now I still have a good amount on the top. But who knows? In 20 years, maybe I don't. So maybe if I wait till I'm old,
just love it.
Just
all you can,
embrace it. Enjoy getting those haircuts.
That's the joke. I have a brother that we look a lot alike, but he got the height, but I got the hair. So he's taller than me, but he doesn't. He's bald.
I would
so
take that hair any day.
God damn, talk about it either or, height or hair.
Right.
Yeah, neither of them I know.
So. He's like 6'1", 6'2". I'm like 5'7", and we look pretty identical outside of the height and the hair. Other than that, and it was like, okay, I'll take the hair though.
No, when I visit at like any like Christmas thing with my mom's side of the family, it's just like I see my future in every uncle, and it's just like, oh yeah, you're gonna never have another like. There's no hair, you know. You just still all. I mean, we all could like be in an Irish movie somewhere, you know. But, yeah, that's about it.
Jaimie, let people know where they can find you out online if they want to check you out.
Jaimie, Jaimie _Filer, Filer. I'm currently on a summer break from like uploading, just like social media break, just taking a break. But I still upload about once a week on my website, artofdoom.blogspot.com.
Hey, and Simo, where can people find you at?
I think I'm on Instagram. I don't have Facebook or anything else really. It's Simo _2785, I think. But I don't have anything cool I put up there. If you want to follow me, that's fine. But it's pictures of my kids and some tattoo stuff here and there. But really, it's nothing super interesting. But feel free to follow it if you want to.
Listener, you can find me at Neil to Know on Instagram. You can also share the podcast anybody you want to. Honestly, it's the best way to get the podcast out there is word of mouth. Algorithms suck. It's really hard right now to deal with anything online. So if you have a friend that likes getting tattooed or they enjoy tattoos, share this episode with them and then share the back catalog with them. There's over 100 episodes of various collections and hobbies. And there's a little something for everybody. Everything's evergreen because there's no dates or timestamps tied to it. It's just, you know, whenever you want to jump into those hobbies and collections, you can. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you for having this conversation. I really appreciate it. It's fucking awesome.
It was fun, yeah.
Cool. Listener, peace.